It's time for Windows Weekly. Paul Thurrott is here. We've got the great Chris Hoffman filling in for Richard Campbell. We'll talk about the protesters taking over Building 34 on the Microsoft campus. Windows UAC gets even more disruptive. And AI floundering at Apple. That and a whole lot more coming up next on Windows Weekly.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott and Chris Hoffman, episode 947, recorded Wednesday, August 27th, 2025. Hallucinated Clown Shoes. It's time for Windows Weekly, the show we cover the latest news from Microsoft. Let me shrink my screen and expand theirs to say hello to Mr. Paul Thurrott from Thurrott.com. And as we heard last week, Mr. Richard Campbell is on the road again, but we were very pleased to get Chris Hoffman back of the Windows, now the new Windows README newsletter at windowsread.me.
Yes, great to be back.
And if you were already a subscriber to Windows Insider, you will be automatically getting the Windows README newsletter. Am I correct?
Yeah, if you got Windows Intelligence, you will be getting it automatically. You probably already got it. So if you didn't get it, please look through your email because...
Yeah, like unlike my email newsletters, his actually go out. So he's figured that out.
It's funny because almost everybody now who shows up on our shows has a newsletter. I mean, it's like de rigueur.
It used to be like a YouTube channel. Before that, it was a blog. Before that, maybe you worked at a publication or were a book author.
Yeah.
It's the new way to reach people.
Yeah, I guess. And I feel bad because, we have a corporate newsletter, which is mostly just, here's what's coming up on Twit this week. Free to all is at twit.tv/newsletter. I do not myself have, the Laporte Report, a weekly email.
You should call it the report. La Report.
La Report. The La Report.
Or
I feel like I should, but I also feel like I would say, I would start it and then I would go, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I still have,
it's hard work.
Deadlines are a thing, right?
Yeah.
Well,
And in the same way that I wake up every day without an alarm, I hate putting anything on my schedule. I hate it. So if I have to do back in the day, I would do a newsletter every Monday or whatever. I mean, I dreaded that day every week. I dreaded it.
Yeah. That's what I fear. So you all just going to have to,
look, if
put up with
lazy,
no
we
email
wouldn't be
from me.
writers.
well,
I'm not,
I think everyone kind of wants to have their own thing. Some people have video show networks. Some people have websites.
Yeah, that's right.
Some people, like myself, we had stuff that we didn't own. And, it's a lot easier for me to start a newsletter or keep a newsletter going than to start a whole new website. I think it's really valuable to have that kind of direct channel. And you got Thurrott.com and you got Twit. Yeah. So that's my direct channel.
It's, it's challenging because you're responsible now for paying yourself.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Either way, I'm that's not all I do. I am also a freelance tech writer. So I write for PC World in our publication. So I'm already doing that. But, it's nice to have a publication that's your own thing. It's my direct thing. It's not, there's no I'm not doing any advertising on it. It's just what it is.
What the hell is wrong with you? No, that's good.
Well,
no, that's smart. And plus you're using Substack, which my wife and I use for our Eternal Spring thing, but it's a newsletter technically, but I mean, I sort of view it like a website. I mean,
it's kind of like a blog that
it gives you a website.
Yeah.
Right. You can just read it on the web if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Or an app or whatever.
I have a blog, personal blog, leo.fm, and that you can subscribe to. I don't know if anybody has. I haven't looked. So it is, I guess I do have a newsletter. It's very infrequent.
You might have been, in fact, I believe you were an email newsletter pioneer. Technically speaking. Well, yeah, because you had this capability.
Always, yeah.
A long time ago.
I've always been able to subscribe to my blog posts. Yeah, that's a good point. So what do I know?
Yep.
I hear there was a little kerfuffle in Redmond on the campus we reported. In fact, I think most people underreported the protests at Microsoft's Build conference,
Right.
which because you and Richard were there. You
Based on our first-hand experience, people. It's like the protesters interrupted the Build conference for the third time. I'm like, the third time? It was like the 31st time.
Yeah, the third dozen time.
Yeah.
So what happened?
Well, there's this little thing happening in the Middle East. I don't know if you pay attention to the news, but
yes, of course.
Yeah. So, right. Israel and Palestine are having we're going to call it a conflict. I go, whatever. Anyway, Israel, the government and also the military are, customers of Microsoft's. So
they use Azure.
Yeah. And there is a small but very vocal contingent of Microsoft employees, some now ex-employees, who do not want Microsoft to help Israel in their efforts.
Actually, I'm sympathetic to that.
No, I understand it. There's two sides to every story, I guess. I mean, you don't like to look. Google employees have done this in the past, where they protested Google technology being used for
every tech company, even Apple at their last event at WWDC had a guy stand up.
You might have noticed though that
banner.
The Google stuff doesn't happen as much anymore, and part of it was because there were some mass layoffs when the last time they did this.
I feel like this is the right though of the employees, is it not?
Yeah,
to say,
and by the way,
we don't want to be in this business, and we're writing code.
Right. To give credit to Microsoft, they actually now have said that thing I said way back in May, where without being privy to whatever conversations might have occurred internally, I would, you could find this. I said this on Windows Weekly that week. Microsoft is the type of company that would actually be okay with this type of thing if it was done within the confines of the rules. That
it's a little embarrassing, especially when the building gets taken over.
Well, that's the thing.
That's
so
like
they've
a
escalated
campus
it,
protest.
right? Yeah. So they look, non-disruptive, non-violent, whatever protests are a right in this country of sorts. Microsoft allows it on their campus. They, it's just that these protesters are, they're not taking no for an answer, I guess. So there were disruptions in April 1st. Remember at Microsoft's 50th anniversary event where people, Satya Nadella or Suleiman or Bill Gates at one point, or whoever was on stage, and people would run out and say things, right? And so that was the first one. I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. And then there were the bunch of things that happened at Build across a couple of days there. And last week, there were 20 or fewer, whatever, protesters who sort of took over the outside of a building on the East Campus. And then yesterday, they decided to occupy a building. And not just a building, right? So if you've been on Microsoft's campus, a lot has changed, by the way, but building 34, 35 are kind of the epicenter of the important stuff there. And building 34 is where Satya Nadella has an office, where Brad Smith, Microsoft president, has an office, and other top-level executives. And so, they just went in the building and locked themselves in offices, like adults do, and refused to come out until they slid like flat food under the doors or whatever. And it's kind of a weird reference, but eventually Microsoft had to call the police. And so they arrested several people. The 20 or so that were outside were asked to leave, and they did. And that was the end of that, except this isn't the end of it, right? Like, this is never really going to end.
Yeah. What is Microsoft saying to these employees?
Well, a couple of months ago, first of all, they investigated whether their technologies were being used by Israel to kill people, basically, and they didn't find any evidence of this. They still maintain that point. But, honestly, the language they've used with regards to the protesters, to me, is correct, which is, we hear you. We're sympathetic. You don't need to do what you're doing for us to pay attention. We're not in the business of, we don't build bomb systems and guidance, whatever. We don't do that. Like, that's not what we do. And yeah, and like I said, back in May when we talked about this, it just seemed to me like, given what I know about Microsoft, like, they would be very accommodating to these people. And as it turns out, they have been. So, there are protests, I don't know, every day, but all the time on the campus. And it's like, fine, like, just, it's okay. You have this right. We're okay with it. We get it.
I think, though, what the protesters want is Microsoft to stop selling Azure to Israel.
Yeah.
And, Microsoft has no intention of doing that, right?
Well, I can't say what their intentions are, but they have not stopped doing that. I mean, I don't know. This is one of those tough things. It's like, before we knew anything horrible about what Apple's business in China has led to, if you go back 20 years or whatever, and Microsoft would want to get into China with, maybe Bing or, sell Windows or Office legitimately or whatever it was back in the day, the conversation was always like, look, we know there are some people who don't like these places, but if we're going to do business there, we sort of have to abide by whatever their rules are. And, that's kind of been whatever. And so, depending on what we're talking about, there are companies, when antitrust occurs in Europe, you'll get these really radical viewpoints where people will say, well, they should just stop selling iPhones in Europe.
Right.
Like, yeah, no, that makes sense. So I don't know.
One thing I find interesting that I think we're talking about it, but in most of the headlines, I don't really see it coming through that, it's Microsoft employees and ex-employees that are protesting. It's not some public protest movement. And most of the headlines, it's like protesters take over. It's like, it's Microsoft employees, which is really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the number of current Microsoft employees that are actively engaged in this is really small. It might even be less than a dozen, right? But whatever the number, that doesn't actually matter. But most of them are former Microsoft employees. There was this feeling during Build that their activities were a little too on point. Like it seemed unlikely that some random group of employees got together in a meeting somewhere and said, all right, we're going to do this and this is what we're going to do. It almost felt like they were getting help from the outside somehow, if that makes sense, like that there might be a group sort of helping them orchestrate all this stuff. But I don't know that I have a huge opinion on that.
But that doesn't even matter. I mean, maybe there's some overarching, protest group about Israel's actions in Palestine that isn't a Microsoft employee group, but is supporting them. I don't know if that invalidates the protest.
No, I'm not. I'm not suggesting their complaints are not valid. I mean,
unless it's the Russians or something.
Right. This, unfortunately, the Gaza Israel thing is not all one-sided, right? There are, there are two sides to that story. It's nuanced, et cetera, et cetera. So,
but I'm not unsympathetic to their goals.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't. Obviously, you can't occupy the Capitol building, and you can't occupy Building 34. But wait a minute, you can't occupy the Capitol building. I'm sorry, that was a mistake. But you definitely can't occupy retroactively Building 34. Yeah. Right. And I understand Microsoft's probably held off as long as they could before they called in the police, right? But these guys were resisting
they tried
security.
They wanted to keep this internal and whatever. And the problem was they locked themselves in offices and
Brad Smith wants to go to work.
Yeah,
he said, and I think this is important. The vast majority of Israel's, and this is from your article, Paul, of Israel's use of Microsoft technology is to protect the cybersecurity of the state of Israel.
Right.
We cannot do everything we might wish to change the world, but we know our role. We're here to provide technology in a principled and ethical way. You think that's true? You think that's credible?
I mean, 5 years ago, I would have said absolutely that's true, right? Because this was a time when Microsoft refused to sell its own AI to law enforcement in the United States because it was prejudiced against people with darker skin.
Right.
And it wasn't something they built into it on purpose. It was at the time it was described literally as when middle-aged white guys work on AI software.
It's a training issue.
Kind of biases that, we saw that with Connect, same issue. Mm-hmm. But back then, Microsoft seemed like it was kind of taking the higher ground compared to other big tech companies. And then as soon as this AI thing happened, a flip was switched, and I'm not sure I get that vibe from the company anymore. So I'm not saying I don't think he's correct. Brad Smith is one of the better.
He's a good guy, right?
People there, if that makes sense. He's the guy that got them out of the antitrust mess in the early 2000s. He's the guy that got Activision Blizzard pushed through with antitrust regulators from around the globe by working with them, right? The one thing that Apple especially is not doing today, Google is not doing. You hope that we learn from the mistakes of the past and, and behave differently, et cetera. And so I don't know. I don't know that I guess the central message here is I really don't know what to say about this.
It strikes me that Microsoft is acting with as even a hand as a company can.
I think so.
The fact that some of these people are still employed says that.
That's the thing. I mean, they haven't, the people that interrupted those Microsoft events, right? April, May, by trying to get on stage, were let go.
Yeah.
They violated their employee contract.
Right.
If you want to protest and hold a sign and stand outside a building, they allow that. It's fine. This is not a problem.
They've been as tolerant as one would expect, and as soon as the law gets broken, they step in, and I think that's not inappropriate.
Yeah.
Well, so you look at this, and it's interesting. I'm just thinking about it. Why? Obviously, the protesters, I assume, wanted this to become public. Like they wanted this whole public discussion.
They wanted to get arrested.
Like us to talk about this.
Yep.
But now that we're talking about this, we're all kind of saying, well, we don't like what did we say, right? Because Microsoft says they're not doing it, and the protesters say they are doing it. Like, and we're just sitting here going back and forth. Like, is there evidence? Like, I mean, these are Microsoft employees. Like, I mean, have they put out evidence and accusations and everything? Like, I don't really know. I haven't dug into it, but I would think that it would be really effective to put out an argument and say, like, no, Microsoft is doing this thing we say they're doing. Here's what they're doing. Yeah. Here's the evidence. We're employees. I mean, if they're employees.
Well, that's like saying Toyota is also contributing to atrocities in Gaza because I saw an Israeli military vehicle that was a Land Rover or whatever, or a Toyota vehicle. Right.
Well,
which is I think how this happened, right? That we know it's public that Microsoft, that Azure, Israel is using Azure to some degree. So you could just draw the line and say, well, Microsoft shouldn't sell Azure to Israel. But this is what I mean. There is no consensus that what Israel is doing is wrong. We might have our opinions about it.
Well, there's no consensus on what Azure is being used for in Israel either. So
that's right.
That's
right. Microsoft says it's investigated. They came up again because of this. It's like, guys, we've looked at this multiple times. We've never seen anything where our software is being used for something horrible.
I think it's pretty clear the protesters think that any sale of any product to Israel should stop.
This is literally we don't negotiate with terrorists argument, right?
Right.
Because if the lesson here is if you complain enough, the person you're complaining to, the company you're complaining to, will stop doing that thing, then everyone's just going to complain about everything. I don't want to undercut the veracity or the seriousness of the charge, but this is above it's not our pay grade. It's just outside of our worldview. Like we don't really, it doesn't matter if I have an opinion about Israel and Gaza. It doesn't
outside
matter.
of my expertise.
Here's what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I mean, just outside of the technology part of it, which is to me is just kind of a minor thing, really. But or maybe not a thing. I don't even know what it is. I don't know. That's the thing. We don't really know. So I don't know. I keep.
Well, let's move on.
I'm sorry, but
that's the story.
I don't have much.
There you go. Yep.
I knew I couldn't ignore it.
No,
I hate having to cover it. I don't. But
I feel the same way. We do.
We got to address it.
I would love to just talk about smartphones and door locks, but sometimes,
guys, Copilot is in smart TVs now. Like, what are we talking about? Why is this important?
I'm just happy we're not talking about Intel.
Oh man,
are we? No, we're not. Yep,
not today.
I'm like,
not today, Le Bouton. Not today.
Not today.
Let's talk about. How about? I got a thought. Windows 11.
Yeah, there's some Windows 11 stuff. So, a couple of Windows Insider type updates. If you're in the dev or beta channel now, you can download whatever the latest build is on the respective channels. And one of the additions is a continuation of this functionality Microsoft's trying to do across Windows that is in some way going to emulate the way Apple devices kind of hand off or have continuity or whatever it is, where you're doing something on your phone and then you can continue it on your PC. So the first thing they did along those lines, other than just the phone link and my phone, then phone link, whatever, that stuff. And then the Samsung partnership, of course, cut and paste, copy paste, etc., is cross-device continuity with OneDrive, right? The idea is that you were in the OneDrive app on your phone. You were doing whatever you're doing, maybe looking, editing, a document, whatever, put the phone down, and then you sign into your PC and it will come up and say, hey, did you want to continue that? And now they're doing this with Spotify. So I guess we're doing this on an app by app basis, I guess.
Well, so here's my question. This sounds like we're creating this great new feature for third-party developers in Windows. Is anyone going to use this? How many times have they made, especially in the Windows 10 and Windows 8 days, look at this amazing new feature for app developers, and no one uses it, and 3 years later it's killed.
Yep. So this I think has a really good chance of being exactly like that. So if you're running Windows 11 now, one fun thing to try is I gotta just put a file there so I can see what it says exactly. I made this point some months ago when the right-click menus in Windows 11 were originally designed to be prettier, of course, and they're laid out differently. Like they're kind of more spacing and more modern looking, whatever. But they were also supposed to be simpler with fewer options, right? Than they were in Windows 10, and they were at first, but they've been growing. And so there are two areas where this has grown pretty well. Actually, I get maybe three, depending on what you're doing, where this has grown or could grow dramatically. One is the Open With submenu, which is just based on whatever apps you have installed. But the two that are a little more modern are the Share With submenu, which is kind of new. It used to just be share, and then you would choose how to share from a share pane or share window. But the other one is this list of bizarre AI-based features that appear at the bottom of the menu, right? And so because Microsoft is one of those app platform things that Chris was referring to, is app developers can build connectivity into their apps where you could right click something like whatever it might be and say, do something with this, like open this with this app. You can now say, do this AI based task with this app. So instead of just saying like open with Paint, you could say remove the background with Paint, that kind of thing. And there are suddenly a dozen or 24 of those, depending on what you have installed. And this menu has gotten stupid. And every time I see something like this, especially the Share With is probably the big one, and it's probably the closest to what Chris is saying as being the next thing they cancel. It's just kind of grown out of control. Like Microsoft has spent so much time working on Share, this feature that's been part of Windows since Windows 8. It used to be like a sidebar thing, and then it was like a full screen experience. Now it's like a window, but there's all this stuff. And depending on what you're doing, you could edit the thing in line. You could copy it to the clipboard. You can send it to your phone. You can share it through compatible apps, which are listed, some of which aren't even installed yet. And, they want app developers to use this stuff, but nobody does, right? And so the first couple that have appeared, like WhatsApp, if you can share with WhatsApp, or I think Facebook Messenger might be one as well. Telegram is in there. Microsoft did those, right? That wasn't Facebook or Meta or whatever company. That was Microsoft. Like it was like they were trying to be like, look, you work with third-party apps. It's not just Microsoft stuff. But I don't think we're going to see a lot of companies taking advantage of this. This is just not. I don't think people spend their time using computers this way, really, right? So I happen to use the Share pane all the time. I use nearby sharing as much as I can, but I can't tell you the last time I did share and then like, oh, look, I can share it to WhatsApp from Windows. Like I'm sure there's someone out there doing it, but yeah, I don't know. So yeah, this cross compatibility thing, cross device continuity thing, whatever we're calling it. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Here's another disaster about the share feature, and maybe it's because you don't use OneDrive, but OneDrive normally pulls in all the documents and pictures and desktop folders. If I right-click a file on my desktop and pick share, I don't get the share menu. I get the OneDrive sharing menu. I don't know how to get to the normal Windows share menu from most of my files. I don't know. It's probably in there somewhere. But it's like confusing. I have to explain to people. It's like, well, you select share unless the folder is files in OneDrive, which it might be automatically in the background. And if that happens, you'll get a totally different pane. It's very confusing.
So, yeah, they fixed this in a way. So these used to be completely separate and different, and they still are by default. But there's a link you can click. I think if you click, like, make a link for the thing you're sharing through OneDrive, it will then come up with the normal share with Windows. So it's like an extra couple of steps or whatever. But yes, it's well, if you were looking for consistency, why are we using?
Oh, there it
Windows?
is.
Yeah, it's a little complicated, but it's not obvious, right? But the good news is no one even knows this exists. So you know what I mean? You and I are like, what the heck is going on here? But most people just like whatever, and it will just, like you said, it's going to disappear. This stuff will move right along.
I don't understand what the share menu is still doing there. I mean, it's such a Windows 8 feature. They're still investing in it, but who's using it?
They've
What's the use
escalated.
case? If they're investing in it, why is it so messy with OneDrive? I don't understand.
I bet it has to do with the impulse or the rationale for this, or the inspiration or whatever, is in fact this stuff we're seeing now. I bet this is what it was about. It was like, we have to build this little bit of an infrastructure here so that apps can do this programmatically, but it's really about cross-device, not compatibility, but sharing or whatever. Because, fundamentally, like if you look at Windows compared to like a Mac and say, okay, so what are the pros and cons here? A lot of them are obvious, but it's that cross-device thing on the Mac and in the Apple ecosystem more broadly that's so special and so amazing. And
it also locks you in, right?
Yeah, no, it's perfect. That's why it's so great. Because it's like,
you can't not get an iPhone now, right?
Well, people, Eric, so someone would say, well, yeah, you don't want to do that though, because it locks you into the Mac, the Apple ecosystem. It's like, yeah, no, actually I do want that because it's awesome.
Because it's convenient. Yeah.
It's really good. This is a year and a half ago, but I'll never forget the first time I did this, where I was using a MacBook Air at the time, I took a photo on my iPhone during a meeting of the whiteboard, and I was like, man, I'd really like to put this in my notes. And I was like, wait a minute, I think I can do that. And then I just copied it to the clipboard on the iPhone and went to the Mac.
It's amazing, isn't it? I do
Command
that
V, and it
all
just
the time.
appeared immediately. And I was like, yeah, no, this is real. Like this, that. And by the way, it
took them a few years to get there. It didn't work at first. I mean, it took them a few years.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not
but they've been doing this for a long time now, and it's pretty consistent.
Yeah. So Microsoft's doing it too. They're using that Phone Link app, right? It works way better, and there's way more going on if you have an Android phone, especially if you have a Samsung phone. But but there's some basic stuff there if you have an iPhone too, because this is a pretty good group of people. But I don't know. This isn't this comes up from time to time. I don't know what to call this. I feel like Steven Sinofsky must have used a term for this in his book. Sometimes in Microsoft's case, they'll come up with features that they can then put in a slide that is one of a bullet point of whatever. And the reason it's there is not because they think, oh, this is what's going to cause people to use our platform. It's because this is what's going to cause people to leave not to leave our platform, right? That they see some of the stuff that might be available on the Mac in this case and say, it's kind of tempting. And they're like, well, hold on a second. We do it too, sort of. And depends on the kind of phone you have. And it's a little more complicated, but we do it too. Microsoft is heavily involved in fighting these walled garden app stores, right? Part of the reason for that is this stuff might be possible if Apple has to open up their phone more, right? They'll be able to do those things they want to do. It's not just about them putting their, Xbox Game Store or whatever it is on the phone, although they would love to do that for sure. It's some of this stuff too, right? Because that thing is it's a black box. It's worse than a black box. It's a black box covered in cement buried under the ground. Like you can't get to it. So they can do certain things on Android, and it's pretty good. And they can do very few things on iPhone, and it's okay. Anyway, I don't know.
It's okay.
It's okay.
I'm okay. You're okay.
Okay.
It's
Everyone's okay.
We're all okay.
All right. So for the past, 6 months-ish, we've been talking about this kind of progressive rollout of what I call semantic search. Microsoft has called it like 8 different things. Now they've settled on semantic search finally, thank God, because it's a good name. And it's in Windows 11, it's local, so local AI, Copilot plus PC only. But if you have that kind of a PC now, and it's unstable now, you can do semantic search across the file system and File Explorer, start search, which works from the taskbar or from the start or from just the search window. And to a lesser degree separately, but also only Copilot plus PC in the settings app, right? With this kind of a setting that they literally have a settings app AI model on your device only for this purpose. And okay, that's fine. Now what they've done, or what they are doing, this is still in the Insider program, and this is across channels, is they're adding this capability to the Copilot app. And concurrently to that, they're changing the UI of the Copilot app yet again to make it look a lot like what used to be the Microsoft 365 app, like I think it's just the Microsoft 365 Copilot app, where it's, the thought is, you sometimes you go there and you chat and you're like, I want to know what the capital of Alaska is or something, or what year did whatever, happen. A lot of people want to work against their documents or against their email or against the web or whatever it is. And so it's actually kind of a pretty UI. I wouldn't get too used to it. These things change every 6 months, but a lot of people, I guess, are, want to go into Copilot, throw in a couple of their documents and say, hey, give me the summary of whatever this PDF is or this presentation or whatever it is. And now you can just go into Copilot. If you're in the Insider program, this will probably, come to stable, I don't know, probably October-ish or something. You can actually just give it permission to scan your entire file system if that's what you want, or wherever you want it to go. There is some kind of programmability there for cloud services, et cetera. So if you are using, say, OneDrive, but in the future, Google Drive, Dropbox, whatever service, and they're using that kind of files on demand capability, you can actually search against that, even though those files are not local, right? So that's useful. And I think we talked about this last week, but we've been kind of stuck with index-based search forever, I guess I'd call it, or at least for 20 years. There were plans in the early 2000s to kind of make that more sophisticated and better. That didn't come together. And I feel like, AI is going to get us over that hump a little bit. I have done a lot of searches lately. Like, we'll talk about Gears of War late in the show, but I went back to find all the reviews of those games I'd ever written and find screenshots I took from back in the day, literally using a capture card and an Xbox 360 or USB thing or whatever it was. And it comes right up now. It's pretty good. Like searching against OneDrive used to be pretty sad in Windows, so much so that I would often just go to the website and that would work better. But now that this is happening, you have to actually index the drive. Like, that actually still has to happen, or index whatever you want to index. But once you do that, the natural language search stuff actually works really good.
Well, so I have a burning question, and this is so bad. The fact that I don't know the answer to it fully is a major problem.
I'm sure Paul has the salve for your burning question.
I don't know, because Microsoft's been very unclear.
Yes.
But, that's wonderful on a Copilot Plus PC. Guess what my desktop isn't? Guess what a lot of laptops aren't? There's no such thing as a Copilot Plus PC desktop, as far as I know, unless something has changed. So is this a feature I can even, like, a while ago, Microsoft made this big announcement. I don't even know. I can't even follow this. The Copilot app platform, or the AI app platform, whatever the app platform they're doing,
runtime or whatever.
Copilot Windows Runtime or whatever will now support GPUs and stuff and CPUs. And it's like, well, that's cool. Like, wait a minute. Does that mean I get the Copilot Plus PC features with a GPU, or does it just mean third-party apps written against the runtime get to use the GPU? I don't understand.
It's not even. Question. Yeah, it's right. So the whatever that's called now, I think it's just called Windows Foundry now. Windows AI Foundry. They renamed it, and it's still not out and stable, by the way. So you can't, as a developer, you couldn't use it even if you wanted to. But the theory there is the same as it is with Apple with their foundational model support. Like, these are local AI models that you as an app developer can either access because they're on the machine, or cause to download because your app needs them. There's a set of APIs that will allow you to do a lot of the things you see in Microsoft apps, like Notepad, where it's doing summarizing of text or rewriting it in to be more succinct or longer or less formal or more formal, whatever the styles are, right? And these things use Microsoft and third-party AI models that are local, like small machine models. Are they the same ones that Copilot Plus PC users access without knowing? Not usually, actually. I think in some cases they can be. And in those cases, they could run off the CPU too, by the way, right? I mean, they could run on the GPU. But they're not Copilot Plus PCs. And that's just they're not going to discuss that, right? In other words, the feeling there is Qualcomm has some deal with Microsoft where at first they were exclusive for a little while. Now they get those features first, right before x64 does, usually only by a month or two. So it's not like a huge gap. But I mean, we still sell, Intel makes chips that don't have good MPUs that qualify. And AMD does too, to a lesser degree, but at some point that will end. And the question is, you have a gaming PC, let's say, or you're a developer or an engineer or whatever you are, you have some awesome graphics capabilities. Why can't I bring down the power grid so I can use, Copilot to summarize text or whatever it is, or do the stuff that Copilot plus PCs can do? There's no technical reason why this can't happen, and we keep waiting for that day where they finally say, "Look, we're opening it up to everybody."
Right. But so, like, from a Windows user perspective, when Microsoft says the settings app is really complicated, so we're going to put an AI agent in there. So on your Copilot Plus PC, you will finally have an easier time changing settings.
And the rest of
it's
you,
like, excuse me, what about everyone else without a Copilot Plus PC, which is most people buying new PCs still?
Yep.
One of the issues with the settings app is the search feature is terrible. In my opinion, all they really need in the settings app is like a better search database of like equivalent words so that you could search through it, and that would help everyone. And then the other thing is like, why can I use a cloud service in Notepad to summarize text, but I can't use a cloud service in the settings app to find a setting I want to change? It's like there's different parts of Windows, and it's like, well, this part of Windows is run by the local Windows team trying to sell computers, and this part of Windows is run by the cloud team, and so Notepad, the cloud team got that one, so they're pushing the cloud services. But the settings app, the local team got that one, so they're pushing the NPUs. It's like, it's just a mess.
First of all, I have to express how uncomfortable it makes me when I see anyone being more cynical than I am. It's good for you. I sometimes I feel like I get dulled down by this because it's just like so relentless. But you're right. And Microsoft, this is I say enshirtification on this show to keep it PG, but Microsoft is as guilty of that as any big tech company, but also because they're beholden to different kind of responsibilities, I guess. So they want to make the industry healthier, the PC industry. So they want to sell more new PCs. They're tying it a little bit to this Windows 10 end of life thing. The Copilot Plus PC is an attempt to, another, more premium type of PC that maybe costs a little bit more. It's good for PC makers, right? Because those things have higher margins. So this was, Media Center, they did this, tablet PC, they did this, et cetera. So I guess the question, well, not the question, but I guess the commentary here is, in serving its PC maker partners to the best of their ability, they're doing a small or a disservice of some kind to their customers, which is like, yes, right? I mean, that's, it's not possible to do the right thing for everybody. So look, it's inevitable that these features will be available everywhere. It just is, right? And that will either happen because every PC basically out in the world at some point is a Copilot Plus PC by today's standards, because MPUs just become more widespread as older computers get pushed out, or what you're asking for, I think, and what I think most people are asking for, which is, I just spent $800 on a GPU. What do you mean I can't do a stupid little drawing in Paint? That's for some reason works on a $600 laptop because they have an MPU. So I mean, if I was going to say something, positive of I guess, I don't know if positive is the word, but I feel like maybe from the PC maker partners have kind of failed them a little bit. I don't know if they expected at this point Intel to still be, cranking out CPUs that have no NPU or a NPU that's too slow. Yeah. I don't know if they really expected, the latest, I get the latest game out laptop. Oh, it has a Core Ultra Series 2. It's like, oh, Series 2, it must have Lunar Lake. No, it has a slow NPU. It depends. If it's Arrow Lake,
it could have Meteor Lake.
Yeah, you get the old one.
But even the Ultra could have Arrow Lake. It says Ultra. Does that mean it has an NPU? It doesn't have a good enough one for Copilot Plus PC features. Right. It's like,
so Intel was on their own schedule, right? They did Lunar Lake because Microsoft is like, look, we've got this Copilot Plus PC thing. We're doing it with Qualcomm. We know how much you hate them, but we're doing it. AMD's on board. And they're like, yeah, we're not going to be ready. It's like, okay, well, I guess you'll be the only PCs that don't have this then. And they're like, okay, hold on. And so they rushed Lunar Lake to market. that contributed a lot to their financial issues last year, but and there are problems with those chips too, but whatever. But they still had all those other chips that were on the regular schedule. Like they didn't change all of their schedules. They couldn't afford to do that, right? And so I am not defending this. Intel should have been on board with this stuff years and years ago. Big part of their problem is they've missed so many boats. But we'll get there, right? I mean, it's I don't know. IFA is next week, right, in Berlin, and then CES is in January, and there will be a year, right, where all of a sudden, all the new chips do have those MPUs, right? That will happen. It may not happen September, January, maybe the fall. I don't know. Who can say? But yeah, I will say, based on the way Copilot plus PC launched a little over a year ago, I didn't expect to ever see MPU lists or weak MPU based processors in the market, and there are probably more of them than there are versions with the MPUs that qualify. So,
plus, from a PC market perspective, I just reviewed a laptop, and I won't use the manufacturer's name, but they use the word AI in the laptop model. Oh, it's an AI laptop with a Series 2 or whatever CPU. No Copilot Plus PC features because the MPU is slow. It's so the average.
Well, and AMD says it's got an AI processor too. I mean, I just
Lenovo just did their earnings, and their whole thing was, we are the biggest seller of AI PCs.
Right.
We said we have whatever the mix was of AI PCs to regular PCs has gone up pretty dramatically. But the definition of that term, which by the way was an Intel thing, is it has an MPU. It doesn't have to even do one TOPS, but as long as it's an MPU, you qualify for that term. And Microsoft, it's too bad because AI PC would have been the better thing to call Copilot plus PC, right? But then again, the right thing to do would have been to say, well, you have a GPU that would qualify to, I don't understand, whatever. But
it's kind of a marketing term, right?
It's more than kind of,
So it's like, so maybe they're losing control of it in the sense that not all AI PCs or Copilot PCs. It's kind of like Evo or one of those other marketing terms where then they probably shouldn't be restricting features to something that is merely a marketing term.
I'm not defending it, but this has been since maybe not the very beginning, but if you go back to like say XP where there was Home and Pro versions, right? There were some features that are unique to Pro. We went crazy for a little while. We had Home Basic, Home Premium, Ultimate, Business, whatever. I don't remember all the names, but and now we're back to kind of Home and Pro. I know there is education and other versions, but those are the two basic ones for consumers. And so Copilot plus PC is like this weird Venn diagram thing where there are features that are unique to those things. So it's in effect sort of a third SKU, although technically you could be running Home and have the Copilot plus PC features, but not have the features that are unique to Pro, right? It's not a strict superset, but yeah, that's how Microsoft has always done things. So I don't know why this is surprising, but yeah, I don't know.
Let's be honest, AI is hyped right now. Everyone wants to put the word AI in everything. The start of 2024 it's the year of the AI PC. Did you know 2024 was the year of the AI PC? I mean wow. How many people are even using the NPUs on their laptops for anything? Yeah. Like any device can be, most people, if you're using a chatbot or something, it's running in the cloud. If you're using Photoshop and Adobe Firefly, it's running in the cloud. Yep. The average person is not doing anything with their NPU. I mean, have you used the Photos app? Have you tried generating images in the Photos app? It is a mess.
Yep. It's right. It doesn't help that the generation capabilities of local AI is vastly inferior to what's in the cloud, right? These are by definition much smaller models. You don't really notice it too badly with things like text, because if it's just about restructuring a sentence maybe or rewriting something, that's pretty good. The image stuff you really notice, right? Because it's visual. It's so bad. Yeah. The local AI versions of create an image of whatever are children's drawing on a refrigerator, and then the we'll talk a little bit later about one of the newer ones, but these latest cloud-based AI models are like Rembrandt paintings, by comparison. They're unbelievable.
Right. And I'm just going to say it again because I like banging on about this. If you use the local NPU-powered image generation features in Windows, in Photos, or wherever they are, it needs a Microsoft account. It needs cloud access. It will not show you the image unless it generates the image on your PC. It goes to the cloud, Microsoft Cloud Service, check it to make sure it's safe or whatever. Then they send it back to your PC. And okay, I'm not arguing against the safety part of that, but what's the point of doing it locally? Why not just generate it in the cloud? You'll have much better quality, but then you won't be able to, market it and say, well, did you know the laptop generated this itself?
The way you say that, it almost seems like they're limiting this artificially, but because they are. No, I said this. I oversimplified earlier, but I sort of said, it's like they're serving different masters here or whatever. It's not just PC makers who they're trying to help, prop up, however, through Windows, like new PC sales. And they don't just have these direct customers, like people like you and I who use Windows or whatever. They also have themselves, right? So they're using AI. They host this AI infrastructure. It's expensive. They want to reduce those costs badly. And if they could get this to work and they could do less round tripping with the cloud and the user didn't notice, that would be great. They're not there yet. And so
that's so far away. That's basically almost him. That is so far away. And even when that comes, like people are going to have, chatbots and AI image generation tools that they can access on their phone in the cloud, and they're going to be even more powerful at that point. And they're already so cheap. I mean, in what world? I'm sorry.
No. This is the ongoing debate.
However, local AI is really cool in theory because you have the privacy advantages. You can run your own model. It's not, you can tune in whatever. That's cool in theory.
This
but
is chicken
even
egg,
that
though,
is
right?
going to be.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, you said, for example, like you have a computer with a good NPU, you're not using it, which is absolutely true. The weird thing is every once in a while, depending on what you're doing, you might actually be using it and you don't realize it, depending on the apps you use. And if they've been optimized for a local AI, image editing apps, video editing apps, whatever, every once in a while, not the whole app, right? But they'll be, you'll file export something and it'll be like, oh, this is an API, an NPU feature. And, and it probably happened like half a millisecond faster than it would have on a GPU based computer. There's nothing to indicate that you even used it. You have no idea that you were receiving a benefit, if any. And that's a kind of a chicken egg problem here because, GPUs are optimized for specific things, right? The reason we separated that off of the CPU was for that reason. NPUs are the same thing. And there are huge, efficiency gains there, but also huge performance gains for specific workloads. It's just that the things we're describing are not general purpose. They're very specific and they're individual features in individual apps. You don't buy an app that's like, oh, this is all NPU powered. There's no such thing. You couldn't build that app. And the thing I keep blabbing on about is this sense of orchestration, which is what would happen if Microsoft just allowed this to be everywhere, which is that you would, just like you run an app now, it looks at your system and says, okay, this one has a GPU, so like we could do whatever. The game will run faster or look better or whatever it is. This one has an NPU. Oh, good. That means this can happen. So any apps that support this in the future, to me, it's the responsibility of the operating system. It makes a call to the OS and the OS says, okay, this one's best with the CPU and this one's best with the NPU and, that kind of thing. And it's just early days. We're just not there.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, and then there's another issue with so with more and more people using web apps, I mean, you have to use a local app that is,
right.
That's some things. I mean, it's not, it's not the new wave of everyone should be happy that they have an AI laptop because it can, it sounds good in a press release, right. But
I mean, generally speaking, the Copilot Plus PCs are better than other PCs in certain ways, right? And that's kind of true, especially on Snapdragon, but it's kind of true AMD, Intel as well. In the sense, but AMD, Intel, you kind of get the vibe like this was going to happen anyway, right? Like just natural course of improving processes over time. We're gonna get to a better place, and so that feels a little more iterative. But now, we've seen with Apple especially, but also with Snapdragon and Windows that, this ARM architecture or an ARM-like architecture, if you're not willing to make that switch as an Intel or AMD quite yet, has its benefits. And so they've been, they're plotting their own paths, right? If you look at the Intel processor or AMD processor that's in a very new laptop and compare it to like a 12th, 13th gen Intel Core or whatever, they're very different, very different. They're not perfect, but they are very different.
Yeah, I'm hoping for more from ARM Windows laptops in the future. Right now, it's kind of a mess. A little bit like there's going to be more. I don't know if most people haven't seen like the rumors that they know like Nvidia is supposedly coming out with their own ARM chip, and there's going to be actually actually competition.
Yeah, that'll be good for everybody, right? I mean,
right now it's kind of a mess. I wrote about it for PC World recently. If you get the new Qualcomm laptop and it has the new slower CPU in it, and they said it was going to be $600 laptops, and tariffs they were a thing, but they said they were going to power $600 laptops. They come in, it's a $750 laptop, and you're like, well,
right,
an average person can go to Walmart and buy an old MacBook for $600 or $650.
Yeah,
and so like you're bringing in these like kind of bad laptops.
You're not wrong, but
yeah.
That $600 M1 based MacBook Air has 8 gigs of RAM and is 4 years old or whatever it is. But we're only just now we haven't caught up. We haven't even caught up. So, and Apple's not stopped. So we're kind of never really going to catch up. I think that the thing that Snapdragon did was at least get us in the kind of ballpark against whatever, M3, if you want to, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter. So yeah, if you're going to buy a $500 computer, you're either looking at like a Chromebook, a piece of junk Windows PC, or I guess this old Mac. But, eventually years will go by.
This crappy old Mac. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. It's fine, I'm sure. But eventually the PCs we have will be efficient and reliable and performant enough that that $600 computer in the future won't be so crappy, right? Like
the holy grail is running these LLMs locally. It would be really amazing. People are doing it, but at great expense still right now. Right. I mean, Copilot's not designed to run locally. I mean, the whole thing is still on the server, right? It's just so in a way, some ways, the NPU is
it's just not there yet.
A MacGuffin. Well, it's not. Well, it's important.
It will get there. It will get there. Like,
but is it important? Because you're not running Copilot locally, or are you?
No, not now you aren't. But I mean, but the goal is to get more and more, like for hybrid AI, right? So do more and more locally and then hand off to the cloud only when you have to.
Right.
And the good enough point is where we're heading to. It's not, let's take that ChatGPT, whatever, and put it on the computer. It's, let's get one that's good enough that for 80 to 90% of the tests, it's going to just be fine. But then every once in a while, we have to go to the cloud. That is something, by the way, I keep saying it, but orchestration, you wouldn't notice or care that it was happening. It will just be something that is a feature of the OS. And it's better for Microsoft or whomever because you're not killing the server the whole day.
Right.
And, grandma can have her electricity to bake the cookies, right? Which is, or whatever.
By the way, I think this is a good excuse for you to go to Hawaii for the Snapdragon event in a couple of weeks.
It is.
I think you should really be there.
I am going to be there.
Are you? Oh, good.
Yeah. Yes.
It's interesting how they have them in such
nice
exotic places. I compare it to the podcast conferences, which are held in places like Dallas in August.
Yep. It's if they said to me, this show's in St. Louis and whatever, I'd be like, yep, I'll be there tomorrow. I would be happy to go.
I think it's going to be interesting. They sounds like they have a big night. We got to say
Hawaii is a pain in the butt to get to. No, it is.
For you, not for me. I could be there.
Oh, okay.
Why don't I go as your proxy?
It's basically an 11-hour day,
For you, because you have to fly across the country and then
even from Mexico City, it's the same thing. It's nasty.
Oh, yeah.
It's not good.
It's a 5-hour flight from San Francisco. It's still a long flight, Because I hear it's in the middle of the ocean. I mean...
Yeah, it's literally an island.
It's literally a bunch of islands, but it'll be on one of those particular.
It's on Maui, but yes.
Nice.
Hawaii is
nice. Let's take a break, and we will continue. I have the new Parallels desktop running if you wish to examine it in detail. Our show today brought to you by, and I mean this literally, CacheFly. For over 20 years, CacheFly's held the track record for high-performing, ultra-reliable content delivery, serving over 5,000 companies in over 80 countries. At Twit, we have been using CacheFly practically since the beginning. There was no we, it was me, that it would be, podcast, you could just serve it from your website, right? No. It turned out that didn't work out so well. And I went begging, hat in hand, for bandwidth. We were using AOL radio bandwidth for a while, and BitTorrent, I was asking people to seed it. Then Matt Levine, the founder of CacheFly, came to me and said, Leo, I can help. And they have been ever since. Almost 20 years now. Thank you, CacheFly. We love their lag-free video loading, their hyper-fast downloads. CacheFly's proof is in the petabytes. Actually, we serve 2 or 3 petabytes a month from CacheFly, I think. A lot of data. Events stream smoothly with CacheFly's ultra-low latency video, less than 1 second of latency, to millions of concurrent users worldwide. Online games start 70% faster. They scale instantly. They play without lag. Software downloads flawlessly, which is important. You got a big new release. You want it to go lickety-split, right? Patches and updates, same thing. HD video plays on demand with ultra-fast sub-second start on every single device. We know how important that is. If you go to our site or any video site and you press play and you have to wait more than a second for the playing to start, a lot of people will leave. I will leave. Podcasts, I've heard of them. Have you? Reach global audiences in record speed at any scale. I can vouch for that. CacheFly delivers rich media content up to 158% faster than other major CDNs and allows you to shield your site content in their cloud, ensuring a 100% cache hit ratio. And with CacheFly's elite managed packages, you get the VIP treatment. CacheFly is like gaining an extension of your team. When your business model depends on delivering massive amounts of content, you cannot afford to go it alone. We learned that lesson the hard way 15, 16 years ago. We also learned you can count on personalized help anytime from a tenured expert who gets it, engineer to engineer, 24/7 from CacheFly. We love CacheFly. You will too. Learn how you get your first month free at CacheFly.com/twit. That's CacheFly.com/twit. Thank you, CacheFly. Now back to Paul Thurrott and Chris Hoffman filling in for Richard Campbell and Windows Weekly.
Yep. Well,
UAC.
Yeah, remember that one?
Remember that?
Loved it. Yep. Mm-hmm. So Microsoft was like, how can we do that again, but make it even more disruptive? And they figured it out. Now, to be fair, this solves an actual real problem. That's been a real problem for at least 25, 30 years. We'll call it 25 years, which is that most individuals all individuals who sign into a new or whatever Windows PC for the first time are administrators, and then they just use it as an administrator. And Microsoft has done a few things in Windows to kind of minimize that, but the reality is everything that you do, can run under elevated admin privileges, right, by default. And so they came up with UAC as a method to help with this. UAC didn't go over well when it was first released, although, by the way, never any more annoying than what the Mac already had by that point, even though Apple made fun of it incessantly, which always bothered me. There are ways to bypass UAC. UAC suffers from what I think of as the third brake light problem, which is like, it was a good idea for the day. Now we just don't even think about it. And I think a lot of people are just like, yeah. They just kind of click through it. It's really just meant to be a final prompt. Like, you sure you want to do this? Like this thing you're doing, whatever that thing might be, like installing an app maybe, or changing certain settings. Like for some reason, the time, which is, I'm sure, tied to some security thing, requires a UAC elevation, right? Or a UAC prompt. It's not really an elevation, but you just say, yeah, I'm sure. And then you move on. And so administrative protection is something that came out of the Windows Resiliency Initiative, which they announced last November, right, at Ignite, which came out of Secure Future Initiative, which actually predated but became even more of a thing when CrowdStrike happened, right, last summer. So kind of company-wide, like, we got to really batten down the hatches, And so when you look at Windows, you're like, well, security-wise, like, what can we do? There's been a lot of fundamental work, foundational work even, around the hardware side of it, TPM2, and then on to secure core PCs, Microsoft's Pluton security processor, Windows Hello ESS, which is this whole unbelievable process. And, maybe there's a better way. And so basically, when you enable this, I think it's a mode, essentially. It's a toggle. You can turn it on and off. You have to reboot. And when administrator protection is running, basically everything you do is running as a standard user, even though you've signed in with an admin. So it kind of solves that part of the problem. But you do have to escalate your permissions or privileges from time to time. And it does this on the fly with a token that exists only for the duration of the thing. So in other words, if you run, you search for a notepad in the start menu, right click it, say run as admin, that process will be running as an admin until you close it, which doesn't change, or is no different in some ways than how it would have been in the past. But the difference now is that it usually is not running like that. When you are running as admin, it actually has a different view of the virtualized file system and also the virtualized registry. And it's a temporary slice in time, right? So that's maybe not the best example, but if you say like, I'm going to change the system time, you're like, yep, change the system time. As soon as you're done changing the time, it goes back to standard privileges. Okay, like this sounds okay to me. The problem is it uses Windows Hello, and Windows Hello isn't the problem, and Windows Hello is secure and it's great and all that stuff. But if you have seen the latest Windows Hello UI, you will know it's a little too secure. It's kind of a pain. And so it's slow. It does, if it's facial, you get the little eyeball, he's looking around, he's like, oh, there you are. And then you have to click a button. It's like, guys, come on.
And
like,
it doesn't work in the dark anymore.
And it doesn't work in the dark anymore, right? They've made it more, that's the thing. They've made it more secure and less convenient. And so, when you think about security, this is the trade-off. It's always like convenience versus actual privacy. And most people, are lazy and they kind of tend toward that convenience side of the fence. Every once in a while, Microsoft will make a really disruptive change to Windows, UAC and the whole security, the trustworthy computing stuff they did, which also involved Windows Server at that time, Windows Server 2003, it's a server, not a surfboard. This is when they really toned down what IE could do, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot that goes into it, but you don't really realize, because why would you realize? No one would know this. Like, it's astonishing how much this thing comes up. And depending on what you're doing, you might not be able to use it because it's going to be so disruptive, it actually stops things from working. Apps need to be rewritten in some cases to work correctly with this thing. Visual Studio, if you're a developer, do not turn this on. You'll ruin everything you're working on. It's horrible. That will probably get better over time. But I went into this like, yep, I'm going to take this bullet. I'm okay with this. Like, I want this. And then I've used it and I'm like, you know what? I'm not sure I do want this. Like, it's annoying. So as of now, it's only available in the Insider program. I think it's across the channel. So I think it's Canary, Dev Beta. So it's basically everywhere. You have to enable it. Like I said, it's off by default. There are other security features in Windows 11 that are like this, that are still like this, right? So Smart App Control is one. There is a ransomware protection feature that they're off, like for some reason. You have to turn them on. And Microsoft has said, well, this will be enabled at some point, but I'm thinking when 25 H2 comes out and whatever that is, October, that this thing will still be optional. Obviously, businesses could enable or disable it as they want for you, but for individuals, I can't imagine they're going to turn this on. It's just too disruptive. So I'm glad they did it.
Yeah, but it's no good to have a security feature that people turn off by default. Yeah.
Yep. No, I know, but you have to kind of get it in. Well, so for example, like
I guess
Smart
it's
App,
an option if you wanted to step up
like if you want to be more secure, you can do it.
The point of UAC was that you could be an administrator account, which most people do anyway, and still have the privilege escalation built in. Yeah. So it wasn't automatic. So you would still have to confirm it and stuff. And I thought that was a good idea. Is this roughly?
It was a good idea. This is an evolution of that, right? Yeah. So there are better security protections in modern computers now, so they can take advantage of that.
Right.
Windows Hello being one of them. It's just it's just that the process is so slow. And unfortunately, because now almost literally every process and app you run in whatever is standard user, This thing actually comes up a lot more than it used to, or a
interesting.
lot more than UAC used to. So you won't see a UAC prompt. Well, that's not totally true. No, that might be true. I'm going back and forth between computers, so I'm going to think about that. I think you might not see one.
Hello is slow, or do you think? Yeah.
Well, the dialogue's slow because they wanted to make sure it wasn't spoofed. So they, I know it's.
They also don't want you to click it. Okay. Right?
Exactly. So you can't because you're like, come on, and then you're like, oh, there it is, click.
Oh, that would drive me nuts.
It makes me insane, yeah. And then I discovered that like the app I'm working on in Visual Studio just breaks, and I can't.
So here's a question. I understand why this is part of the Windows Resiliency Initiative. Obviously, a lot of corporations are going to want this, and Microsoft can say we support this, and that's great. But especially since it's so disruptive, I wonder in terms of what real world problem is it actually solving for the average PC user. So, if I would think about the average PC user, if you use a phone, you can install an app from wherever, and the app can't constantly watch your screen or everything you type and all that because there's a level of sandboxing. And in fact, sandboxing is what Microsoft originally wanted to do with Windows 10X. So there's an alternate universe where maybe we have sandboxing that made it in here now. But the average person, it doesn't elevate, but it could, the app you download could still be running in the background, watching everything you type and logging it. I mean, so if we're going to introduce something that is disruptive, is this really the disruptive thing to introduce? I mean, it seems like some degree of sandboxing Chris, would be better.
First of all, do not ever make me defend Microsoft. But I'll say this. So the sandboxing thing you were talking about. So Windows 8 does sandboxing for it started that, right, with modern apps were sandboxed. The idea behind Windows 10X was that every app would run in its own sandbox. But Win32, which is the desktop and most apps actually would run in one container.
Oh, really? I guess.
Right. Yeah, there were not separate ones for every app. So unfortunately, you could have rebooted that thing or whatever. But the issue. Okay, so they've done all these things. Like this is part of a continuum, and basically what happens is everyone rejects everything, right? And so if you think about the original promise of just the store, if you forget about the app model and all the craziness, like the idea is a good one. It's like, look, there's this trusted place where you can get apps. These things are sandboxed. They're guaranteed not to overstep each other. They can't screw up the system. There's one click on install. There's no registry nonsense everywhere, blah, 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 whatever. Sounds great. Nobody used it. A bunch of fart apps. And then they started expanding what the store could do. And the store now is just a distribution method for all kinds of different apps. And most of them are just desktop apps. Some of them have their own licensing that's not going through the store. You just sign into whatever account, like if it's an Adobe app, whatever. So they kind of gave in on that over time. And then in the process of giving in on that, they started thinking about, well, okay, we could do things like S mode where, everyone seems to hate it, but it's not a bad idea, except that it's a one-way dead-end street. If you could just say, I'm going to run my system in S mode, but I also want to run the desktop version of Google Chrome or whatever. To me, that seems like a individual decision, but they didn't allow that. Okay, fine. There's a switch somewhere in settings, settings app, something probably advanced where you could say, look, prompt me if I try to install something that's not from the store. Prompt me if I try to install something that's not from the store, and there is a version of it in the store, that kind of thing. But they can't, if you enable that by default, like this thing we're talking about, everyone would be like, what is this thing? I'm downloading Chrome. Just leave me alone. Yeah. Like I know what I'm doing. And so, it's kind of a nanny state problem. And so they have these ideas and they try them. Nobody likes it, or it doesn't. In 10X's case, didn't work technically, I guess. And so, it's 20 years later. We're like, all right, so we did UAC. We haven't moved the needle at all in anything else, but we do have all this advanced security hardware now in Windows Hello, et cetera, biometric sign-in. Maybe there's an evolution of this. And so they called it a different name, but I mean, really, it's UAC, but with a Windows Hello prompt, and there's actually better, that's not a guarantee, I don't know what to call it, it's more likely that almost everything you're running normally is standard user, which solves a lot of the problem, because it's a hard thing to sell someone on. But if you're running, as anyone would, any normal person, you're an admin and you get malware in your system, you have no idea that thing's running at admin privileges. It could do whatever it wants. You don't have to be using the computer. It could be sitting there doing its thing, stealing your data, uploading it, using you as a zombie, whatever, so that's what it's really for. But what it's really going to do is just annoy people. That's the sad part. And until and unless, the apps that everyone uses are updated to make it okay and tied to the thing you said earlier up top, I don't think it's going to happen. So we're going to find ourselves in this weird position of it, recommending to normal people, mainstream people, that maybe this awesome advanced security feature that would secure you forever, you should not use.
Yeah.
It's like telling someone not to wear a seatbelt. Yeah, it feels weird.
Yeah. I mean, the problem is so many of these features they sound good, but I guess it's the ransomware protection. Like or controlled folder access. I ran into so many issues with that. You just start a PC game from 15 years ago, and it's like it just doesn't work because it's like no, but it's trying to do the save files in your document folder. It's like they're constantly in their whitelisting apps, and it's like so not enabled by default.
If you as like a I almost said compulsive. That's not fair. If you as a concerned user said, look, I'm going to look this up. You wrote an article or someone did, or there's some list somewhere. It's like, look, here are the whatever security features in Windows that are not enabled by default for some reason. So here's where you go and you turn them on. You're like, all right, I'm doing the right thing. And then 2 days later, you install Photoshop or Call of Duty or whatever it is. And then like one day something just doesn't work, right? You don't know why. It crashes maybe. I don't know. Windows is not going to say, the reason this doesn't work is because you enabled administrative protection or whatever it was that caused this. And this is the uncertainty. This is the problem, and this is why, we're going to get in that awkward position because we can't guarantee or even predict until we have maybe lists of apps that are causing problems with these things that like what will or will not work, And some of these are really weird, like smart app control. You turn that thing on, you're like, nice, I'm doing the right thing. And then whatever, you'll get, if you haven't seen it yet, you'll get this dialogue. It's like, hey, part of the app you're running, literally it says something like that, is violating our security standards. We're not going to allow it. And then the app doesn't work properly. And you're like, okay, well, I need this app. So I'm going to turn that thing off. And now you can never turn it on again for some reason. I know there are registry hacks to get around that, but it's a weird feature where once you turn it off, it never comes on again. It's can't turn it on. At least this thing you can toggle on and off. I'm not sure that's progress, but I don't know. All right. Let's spend 20 minutes on the next.
I'm really slowing us down.
No, I don't actually. I don't think it's
you
not.
Don't, you don't have to help. It does do it all on its own.
We do it. This is a very natural process. This is like a football game. You ever sit there for 2.5 hours to watch football, right? Nothing's happening. It's like 7-3, third quarter set, 7-3. And then the last 15 minutes happens and it's a tight game. And all of a sudden an awesome game breaks out. That's what this podcast is like a lot. It's kind of just like, just kind of goes and goes. And at the end, you're like, all right, we're going to finish this up. And then we go into a lightning
I'm the
round.
guy with the orange gloves who comes out and speed it up.
You're like, just throw the ball. Okay. So this one I'm curious to kind of experiment with, except that I would never get in the game and use a headset. But obviously there are all these different kinds of Bluetooth, not just versions, but also Bluetooth features like BTLE, which is the low energy version, et cetera. So if you've ever opened up like a more recent pair of earbuds or something, you might have seen a little dialogue pop up in Windows like you would see on your phone. It's like, hey, we can auto, configure, do that kind of stuff. And this has worked in Windows for a while. I'm sure Windows 10 has it, but Windows 11 absolutely does. But now there are these other Bluetooth features that work off of that, like advanced audio distribution profile. What's the other one? Hands-free profile, et cetera. So to date, those things have only worked in mono on Windows. And so if you're using a headset and playing a game in Windows, you have really crappy audio quality. So they're fixing it. In fact, I think they've already fixed it. So, and this will not benefit just games. This works in things like, Teams or whatever apps that might use like headsets and these kind of Bluetooth audio features. So I'm curious to try this, except that I know when I turn my headset on in Call of Duty, what I'm going to hear is going to be so repulsive that I will just turn it off, but at least it will sound good.
I got you, Paul.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
This honestly is huge news. I mean, like I can't remember how many years ago, maybe it's 8 years, but people are saying Bluetooth wireless audio is good now. I'm like, wow, that's great. I'll get a Bluetooth headset. I got one and put it on.
Where is it good?
Sounded pretty good. I flipped it. I started using the microphone with it, and the quality went off a cliff. And I was like, what what happened? It's like, oh, that's just how they work. It's like, that's just how they work. Like, no wonder everyone uses a little wireless.
Now,
like,
remember
USB
when
things.
the Bluetooth thing was a little thing you stuck in one ear? And it's like, yeah, that's what it always sounds like in Windows.
Well,
even if
part
you have
of
like
it is
awesome
there's
headphones,
different profiles for Bluetooth,
Right.
and the headset profile is very low quality because it's for phones.
Yeah.
But there's also A2DP,
Yes,
which is
which is
the
it.
stereo version.
Yep. So Windows has never supported that until so now it does.
Oh, well, that's a
what it
huge improvement.
it's huge. Yeah.
I can't wait a minute. They never supported A2DP.
I can't explain. Well, especially in specific. Yeah, it's like for specific uses. So,
in LE with low energy. Maybe. Yeah.
So this is most headsets, right?
There are now Bluetooth profiles that are even higher quality. I think there is there is a Bluetooth profile that is lossless, as I remember. Yeah.
Yeah. If there is, though, that thing does not exist in any shipping hardware. Like, someone said
it does, but not in any Windows hardware.
Yeah. Oh, not in Windows. Well, even something like just Bluetooth versions.
It's
like
a Qualcomm thing, aptX. It might actually be on the Snapdragon.
the Qualcomm thing. It probably is.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
That's actually interesting. Yeah. I have one pair of headphones from Denon that are aptX support, and I've been looking for things that can play aptX.
This is
some smartphones.
This is by the way, to be fair to Microsoft, like again, stop making me do that. This is a mess in the Apple world too, right? You have something like those Apple AirPods Max or whatever they're called, where they're just Bluetooth and lousy, but you could plug in like a USB-C cable, and then suddenly it does like lossless and Dolby Atmos or whatever, or something like that. I don't remember the exact details, but like, you still have these weird things where, this stuff is still kind of in flux and, getting better or whatever. But I don't know. Next week, I'm going to experiment with this because I'll be on the road, right? So I think they're Logitech headsets, nice headsets where you can use Bluetooth, you can use their proprietary dongle, which would would be better for latency, whatever. But you can also just use a USB-C cable, which is what I'm going to use, obviously, because I want it to actually just work.
Yeah. And there are that come to think of it, there are a number of Bluetooth dongles that do aptX. So I think Microsoft's probably just presuming, you're going to connect something to the USB port. And
I don't know what
if you care about it that much. If you care that much.
Yeah. So, Leo, you said that you were running Parallels Desktop 26.
Well, I saw your article and I immediately downloaded it.
Okay. And you noticed all kinds of changes.
No, but I do have the updates notes here.
Yes. And what if you could find an item on that list that you think would benefit you as an individual?
Well, brings updated icons across the board on Macs running Mac OS. It's really for Tahoe. It's for the latest.
Yeah.
So they number it 26 for
to match Apple,
Mac OS 26.
Yeah.
There's a long list of what was removed, including shared Bluetooth functionality.
Nice. Great.
Including Bluetooth, that's great.
It says to connect a Bluetooth device to this virtual machine, consider using a USB Bluetooth dongle. So
there you go.
I was right.
Yep.
It doesn't seem like
most of it is for businesses.
The thing that annoys me about both Parallels and Fusion, which is VMware, is they do a yearly release so they can get money out of you.
That's right. Yep. You pay for this by the year, pretty much.
Yeah. So they don't want to do a subscription. But
it's in that way, it's almost worse than that in a way, because if you stuck on the last version, you still have to pay. You still got to pay. You know what I mean? You still have to pay to keep going.
Yeah.
But this is
so far they haven't asked me for money. I did update it, and they haven't asked me for anything yet.
Okay.
We'll see.
Yeah. So look, the hard work there has been done in a way. Just getting virtualization working on an M-based.
Well, this is why I'm running Parallels. Fusion does have a free tier, but Parallels, everybody agreed, was the best on the Mac.
Yeah. And they also, and now that Microsoft is finally putting out official ISOs for non-insider builds of Windows 11. Yeah. Nice. It's nice.
Yeah. So there you go. I'm updating my Parallels tools right now. That's very exciting.
That's the thing I don't like about it the most, is all the extra stuff.
Yeah.
There's always like updates for something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. First you update it, and then...
Yeah, it's like, I just want to use the damn thing. It's like, you got to update the tools. You want to use the tools.
Can't do it without tools.
Yep.
But the tools do give you some functionality.
Those tools are like power toys on Windows. If you look through them, like, it's a crazy good collection of things.
Kind of need it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Anyway, I'm happy.
Yeah.
As long as they don't want more money, I'm happy.
Well, Eventually, they will want more money.
Eventually,
That's
they're
okay.
going to.
That's their right. They're that's not.
Hey, they're a business. You know.
Yeah. It's not a charity.
It's a business. It's not a charity. You're watching, as you probably figured this out, Windows Weekly. But what you're puzzled by is how much weight Richard lost over the last week. But that's not Richard. That's just a svelte Chris Hoffman, formerly of Windows Insider, now of WindowsRead.me. The newsletter has moved to WindowsRead.me.
That's right.
Dun, dun,
so please
dun.
subscribe. I think it's a lot of fun, and it will.
What would I?
be
So
much
this
fun.
is your chance. What would I get if I subscribe to Windows? I do.
What do I have to do to get you into this newsletter right now?
Well,
Besides an email once a week, what would I get? What would be in the email?
it's me. I think it's fun. It's I think it's exactly this type of energy, and I think it's something that is missing on the modern internet a lot of the time. It's just kind of this old school tech blog energy. I mean, we're having it
love
right now
that.
on this
that.
podcast. It's
You're
not
right.
viral headlines. It's not SEO. It's
No.
not. I'm not. There's no
It's
advertising in the
enthusiasts.
newsletter. It
Chris,
is
somewhere in the
me.
background,
It's trying to be fun.
your TV is turned on and it's running static, and it says, "Chris, come into the AI, come into the warm embrace of slop. We'll get it mostly right, we promise."
Well, I mean, especially with the internet now, it's becoming more and more AI, which is, I'm not against generative AI. There's a place for it. You can use it yourself, but the entire internet shouldn't just be pages and pages of other people's AI generated content. I mean,
I agree.
Or
Well,
go generate your own AI content.
This is
So
one
wait,
of the best things about AI is it's going to drive people towards stuff like
Correct,
you do,
which we
where
will
it's
now
real
call artisanal,
handmade media.
right?
Right. So it is exactly that. Is artisanal, handmade, Chris Hoffman content. And, I also, write for PC World in our publications, but this is me directly, no ads, straight to you in your inbox. I'm doing a lot of cool, retro, fun stuff. I'm making it personal. I think it's exactly like Twit. Conceptually, it's human. This is human. This is not algorithmic. This is not AI. This is not a bunch of ads. This is not a bunch of clickbait. This is like real people. This is, hopefully you're having fun if you're watching this. You enjoy it, right? I mean, so that's exactly what I thank you for putting it up. So
That's the first one is out now.
Yeah,
Bloating
so
Windows.
I want it to be like fun. Like I had to bring this kind of fun retro idea. If you scroll down a little bit,
Love it.
you can see. I just actually really want it to be fun. Like, I mean,
How long did it take you to do that ASCII hello me in Notepad?
Not long, because if you just
He used
Google
AI,
around, you'll
ironically.
find there are old like websites that people are using to make this like 20 stuff to like 20 or 15 years ago, right? You can go find those old websites and go boom, boom.
There's
boom. You
actually
don't
a
even
new
have to
one.
use AI.
I just saw in Hacker News. It just came out to do
Probably.
ASCII art. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Nice. Black
So-
There's a name I haven't
Yes.
heard in
Oh,
all these years.
Yes. So it's not just like me talking about tips. It's like I'm reminiscing about. I remember when I used the Black Viper service guide in my Windows XP
Yep.
PC, and like why that isn't really necessary anymore. And I'm
Thank God.
there's like this whole retro nostalgia thing I'm doing.
Oh,
with
you
it,
know what?
and it's
This is
like
a good
a
subject.
lot
How to
of
bloat your
fun.
PC in the
Right.
nowadays.
Well, that makes sense, yeah.
Modern.
Yes, and it's and so that is exact and that's like it's not. There's no links out. There's no ads. There's no SEO. There's no AI slop. It's just me, actual advice based on all the laptops I've been reviewing, everything I've done, all the like feedback I've got. Like there are scripts out there, and some of them are probably fine. But like GitHub is full of like 800 different scripts from who knows who.
Right.
I can't stand
Who
that.
knows what they do to your PC, and you shouldn't run them, and you don't need to. And
This
You don't
did
need
you
to.
do this on hands-on
Also-
Windows? I think you did. How to make your Windows look more like a Mac?
So,
Yeah, I
so
did
that
something.
and look at
Yeah.
that. So that is a official Microsoft theme that leaked for Windows XP. That's a 100% authentic
Was it called Liquid
vintage
Glass?
theme. It's called Candy.
Candy.
And, there was an internal theme.
And I
And,
like how you end.
Yes, I'm trying to have fun with it. There's no world where any like SEO site would let you do.
Right.
Just scroll down a tiny bit more because
There's more. Oh, there's
just
more.
go-
Wait,
there's one little bit
there's more.
It's just
Let's
tiny
see.
bit more. So there.
It's now
like,
safe to
I'm trying to have like
I
a
love
lot of
it.
fun
I
with
love
it
it,
as
Chris.
well.
That's
And,
awesome.
like this is like an energy that I think is missing on the modern
Have
internet
fun.
largely.
Yeah.
Yes. So I hope it's like a lot of fun and useful.
in my news feed, I will see things from like, it'll be like randomly generated site names. It'll be like rai.ks. And it's like, Microsoft does something about something. And you're like, oh, this thing is just an AI generated nothing. Like,
I know what happens though. You say, wait a minute, that's my article.
Yeah. Well, that was my first introduction to Perplexity, by the way. But yes, it's.
Wait a minute. I wrote that.
Yeah. You're like, oh, that's fun. I'm 3 of the 5 sources for this answer. That's interesting. Yep. That's a weird moment.
Yeah, I bet. Anyway, congratulations. It's at windowsread.me.
That's right.
In beautiful ASCII, and you can subscribe or read it on Substack, and there's a paid and free version. Thank you, Chris, for filling in for Richard. Rich will be back next week. He's on
Great to be here.
He's on his travels, his usual thing. Now we resume Windows Weekly, which is already in progress, with a look at Microsoft 365.
Yeah.
I shall push my button. Apparently, I've left my camera on for a while, and I was eating my lunch, and I apologize to all who saw that. It's disgusting. It's like feeding time at the zoo.
How dare you eat like a human being?
I don't know that people realize I eat live rats for dinner. So
well, that would do it.
That might have shocked them.
But Ozzy had went out really on a high note. So, I mean, I think anything is possible.
Hey, don't knock Mr. Osborne.
I'm not.
He was a great man. I loved
incredible.
Ozzy. Sad to have lost him.
I agree with you.
But at least it wasn't to a rabid bat.
Yeah.
Moving on.
A mistake. Anyhow.
Yes, he says that, by the way. He said he lost his head. He thought it was mean to bite his head.
He thought it was a toy bat.
It was a toy.
Why would anyone have a live bat in here? Anyway, whatever. Okay, so.
Oh, what a story.
We can't explain these things.
Okay.
One of the reasons I don't use Microsoft Word anymore is that it was harassing me to save to OneDrive. And the reason it wanted me to do that was because then I could use autosave. And I looked at this objectively and said, you could do autosave to any location in the file system. What does OneDrive have to do with this? And whatever. But now, out of the blue, and I have no idea that maybe this might be a regulatory antitrust thing. They didn't say that, but I wouldn't be surprised if the EU was somehow behind this. But they are going to support autosave and also just by default to any cloud service, right? And so if you use, iCloud, Dropbox, Google, whatever, it should work. And it's not available, it's not available in stable. So I don't have it yet, but the version of Word that will likely come out next month in stable does this. And then they're going to add it to PowerPoint and Excel as well. So the way that works today is by default, it wants to save to your documents folder in OneDrive. And that's what it's set to. It will just do that. And you can, I think autosave is also enabled, but now you're going to be able to change that and retain autosave. So you can have a default save location that's not there in OneDrive. It could be in some other cloud service. I'm really curious if this will work with Synology Drive, which is technically a cloud service, sort of, like a private cloud service. We'll see. Or if you could somehow get it to work with just any arbitrary location in your file system, which to me would be great, or whatever.
I was really, I do use OneDrive, but I was really excited that it will just save the file by default. Like I've had multiple situations. I open a Word document, I get in the zone, I write for 2 hours. I look up at the top of the window, unsaved document.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Or
I know it's cached offline, but it freaks me out.
I do this a lot, and I'll sort of reflexively just Control S, and then I guess sometimes I forget because sometimes I'll do the same thing I'm writing. Hit Control S, it comes up with save as dialog. I'm like, wait, what? Like, did I not save this? Is that possible? Yeah, that's possible. If you've ever used a Mac or an Apple device, this is something Apple's been doing with iCloud for a while. Actually, probably from the very beginning, right? When MobileMe became iCloud,
I don't know, but
Apple's own apps did this. No, I know,
really hate it.
But it's an attempt to get by the problem that he just described.
I understand why they do it, but I hate it.
Okay, no, I kind of do too, honestly. But if it's auto-saving, one thing you can do, go to the top of the app, just rename it. That's cool. The chances that I wanted it to be where Microsoft wanted it to be by default are 0. So I suppose even if you are going to continue using OneDrive, you could just change the save location to anywhere else in OneDrive, right? Which gets by 2 problems. One is the obvious one, the root of documents is not where I want things saved necessarily. But also B, it's tied to that folder backup feature they auto-enable on so many people in Windows 11. And that was part of my problem where I was like, I don't want this. Like I have a system I do save to the cloud all the time. Like why can't I arbitrarily just save this to anywhere else in OneDrive? So I believe, I don't have it yet, but I believe you could just do that now, right? So you like, I have a Paul folder in the root of OneDrive, and I go from there, and I could be like Paul documents. That's where I want it. And then as you create new folders, files, they'll autosave there instead, right? So this is a pretty big step for a company that was kind of battening down the hatches there on that kind of thing. So that's good. And then the next thing that Microsoft people can complain about, because they're going to, and are already, is the OneNote for Windows 10 app, which was originally the OneNote app, or the OneNote MX app, or whatever, the store app version, right? Which started out okay, but got pretty great. And then Microsoft actually got rid of I think it was OneNote 2016 was going to be the final version on the desktop. And then late in the game, they were like, actually, we got to go back to the desktop version. So we're going to deprecate this. When Windows 11 came out, it was no longer included in the OS. I don't know if it was from day one or it's some version of Windows 11. And now it is going to go out of service or out of support at the middle of October 14. So in the interim years, they have made OneNote 2019, and then I guess OneNote probably 2024. I guess I don't use OneNote anymore, but I assume that's in there. Have where all the new features occur, where stuff is happening. It's going to be where the Copilot stuff happens. Sorry. So it's a better experience than it used to be. But there was something about the store app I really liked. It was for a little while, it was a poster child for what was possible with that platform, which was kind of limiting and annoying in many ways. But OneNote was one of the good ones.
And now it's a poster child for what happened to that platform.
Yes, it is. Yep. Yeah, it is. Yeah. No, that's true. So that's gone. All right. Now we have a bunch of AI stuff that is not Microsoft AI stuff. So I'm going to try to move through this pretty quickly, but I just want to mention these things because some of it is just kind of interesting out on the side. Apple is rumored to be looking at maybe buying Perplexity or Mistral. There's so much stuff going on at Apple right now with AI. It's like, we'll see where it lands, but there's any one of 21 outcomes that could occur there, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. But one of those things is now talking to Google about a version of Gemini that would run on Apple's private cloud, but it's the private cloud compute servers, only for Siri, for that new conversational Siri. They can't seem to get off the ground. And so I don't know. We'll probably find out who won that little battle in the next couple of months. We'll find out. Perplexity, which came out of nowhere with what is still right now kind of the best AI browser, if that makes any sense. Yeah. It's like, okay, but like, what's the model here? I mean, obviously you can pay for Perplexity. There's a Perplexity Pro and probably a Max or whatever. That's $200 a month. But now they offer a $5 per month Comet Plus subscription, so it's tied to the browser.
You've seen all the security issues with that browser now, right?
Yeah, but they fix them as they come up. It's like Microsoft software. It's fine.
I actually deleted it. I thought, I don't. But that part of it was because it's agentic, and this is going to be a problem with all of the agentic browsers.
Yep. Yeah, this is the issue that Brave raised. It was like, look, this is going to be a problem, and
even Brave's doing one. So
yeah, so so Anthropic yesterday came out with an extension for Claude or whatever, for Chrome, which means it will also work on any Chromium-based browser. But they're really limiting who can have access to it. So you have to be one of their Max customers. That's a $200 per month thing. And it's only like 1,000 customers at first. And they're really looking for people because they're kind of pulling an Apple here where they're like, look, there's security privacy issues here. We know that. We're working to fix them. Before this goes out broadly, we want to make sure this thing is safe. And honestly, that's pretty good messaging. So we'll see if they get it there. But Anthropic is kind of like Mistral too, actually, is kind of setting itself up to be like the Apple of AI, and not like Apple is an AI, but the place where privacy and security are respected, and that kind of thing. So we'll see, but I think we're going to see over time extensions for every AI and every browser, because of course we are, right?
Right. Yeah. So now you have a choice. Do you have an AI browser, or do you have an extension in an existing browser? What is it that you want to do?
Yep. I think mix and match. This is it's such an obvious thing in a way, but I think that's going to be the future of all this stuff. Notebook LM is that thing that kind of exploded, and it was the first thing Google did with AI in the post kind of Bard Gemini world, where it was like, holy, like this is actually really cool. And so last October, I think it was, they did the audio overview feature where they could turn an article into a podcast, like an audio podcast with two hosts, and they kind of banter about the article or whatever. I took a Steven Stanofsky blog post from 2012, I think it was, for 8,000 words, fed it into this thing, and it's like it was fairly amazing just to listen to this. Now, since then, they have come out with video overviews, which are not yet, there will be, but not yet like avatars of hosts. It's more like watching a presentation where you're seeing like a slide deck or whatever. Instead, you're not seeing people, but it's the same sort of thing. And of course, these two things were US English only forever, right? When they were first released. But now, both are available in over 80 languages each.
Kind of amazing what they're doing.
It's astonishing.
Yeah.
And this is where Google's scale kind of really helps, because that's amazing.
Yeah.
So, pretty good. And then AI mode, which I think everyone hates, but I have to say, I find myself using it, is also available in over 180 countries now in search. Sorry, Chris, we're going to
defend.
You're going to defend AI mode?
Not AI mode per se, but I think maybe not quite in here so much, but in general, journalists don't like AI mode for obvious reasons. It's breaking the business model. Mm-hmm. But like the web is so bad that actually conceptually using AI tools to search in some way and summarize content actually can work pretty well a lot of the time. Yeah. And that's hard to say as a journalist whose, industry is in trouble
being just
because
gutted
of it.
Right now by AI.
Yes, but I mean, as a, but often I think journalists, I was in a private community the other day and people were saying everyone hates AI mode, and my journalist friends, it's like true, but like, do they, like, does the average person really hate AI mode? I don't know.
Honestly, you're going there to get an answer, right?
And sometimes it's wrong, but that's another matter.
Right. That would be a problem. But, for example, there are all these AI developer tools built into developer IDEs and then just into AIs. And you could run like, Anthropic side by side with Visual Studio maybe, or actually that's the thing behind GitHub Copilot anyway, whatever. But the traditional way to do this stuff when you were looking for the answer to a question would be to go Google it and say, blah, 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 whatever. I usually type in something like the name of the framework, the language, and then what it is I'm looking for. And then you rifle through what is mostly Stack Overflow results and try to find one that does it. And now Chrome, at least, and I think Chrome, at least anyway, I'm sure others do this, the AI overview. And you get this kind of expandable summary at the top. So it's done that work for you, which is kind of, to me, is the point of AI, save you time. And is it always right? No. But if it's like something like I'm trying to find the WinUI 3 version of the whatever control from WPF, it's like, this is it. Here are the things. Here's the link to the Microsoft documentation. It's like, yeah, that's what I was looking for. It's pretty good. Like it's, I agree with you. I meant when I said that, I didn't mean myself. I think for some reason, the overall vibe on this is kind of negative, and I understand the impact on publishers, content creators, obviously, but I don't know, like my when I see it, rather than be outraged by it, I kind of look at it and I'm like, oh yeah, there you go. That's what I wanted in the first place.
Hey, incidentally, we mentioned this Parallels doesn't support Bluetooth. I think it might be a little bit of a problem for Phone Link, because Windows says you can't.
Oh, geez, right. Yep, you need that.
Without Bluetooth,
yep.
You can't link to your phone. And so I think that's something people should pay attention to, because I was using Phone Link with Parallels before.
Oh, so that actually was disabled and it previously worked. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, it's a different phone. So it may be that do I need Bluetooth only to set it up, you think? I don't know. I'll play with it. You need
Bluetooth pretty much, period.
That's what I think. And I think the fact that Parallels...
Okay, wait a minute. No, hold on a second.
Didn't it say I have to have a dongle to make this work?
A dongle. Oh, boy.
Anyway, I don't want to... I didn't mean to hijack you. This just came up, so I'm wondering. Interesting.
And then, so I've been looking at AI web browsers. I got invited to check out something I guess I had heard of. I don't remember this, but Norton is still around.
Norton,
just like Corel is still around.
Norton,
yeah, and they're making something called Neo, which is an AI web browser. It's pretty terrible. Whether or not
Intel bought them, right?
No, it was Symantec back in the day, and then Symantec split up and then merged with whatever. So Symantec, or it's what's the name of the company? It's something like, it's got a real Gen, I think is the name of the company now, Gen Tech or something. And they're very, they own a lot of littler companies that you might remember from back in the day. So in the security space, it's stuff like Avast and other AVG, these kind of classic, security companies, kind of like whatever Corel's called now owns not just Corel, but all of the former Borland apps. They own a bunch of these like Paint Shop Pro and all these, they're like little holding companies.
It's the last days of these things, right?
Well, milk it, whatever.
Yeah, all the way down.
Anyway, I didn't like it, so I'm not going to talk about it too much, but maybe it gets better, and I don't really care because I'm never going to use it, so whatever. Okay, I just felt obligated to try it.
Right, this is just the usual AI hype. It's like, AI web browsers, where let's say we made one.
Yeah. Every once in a while, though, so most of this stuff is pretty tame or not interesting or it doesn't work yet or something. And a lot of it's like screen scrape level stuff where it's like literally moves the mouse cursor around and does stuff on the web page. You're like, okay, that's kind of interesting, but this is going to be more interesting when it's controlling it on the back end, something like that. But every once in a while, I will do something in one of these browsers where I'm like, okay, that's pretty good, where, I was comparing speakers in Comet, actually, and then later came up and said, hey, remember the thing you were talking about? Well, it's on sale, or whatever. And you're like, no, that's okay, pretty good. Like it remembers what you were talking about. The summary stuff is, pretty big, is pretty obvious or whatever, pretty common now, but it's, it works well. I don't know. We'll see. The big change is going to be later though, because it's not going to be about clicking on things and talking. Well, you'll talk to it, I guess, but I think websites are going to be really de-emphasized. Like the content will still be there, but it will be accessed more programmatically.
Yeah. We had a guy from Rich Scrent from Common Crawl on, and he's been promoting, and I think he's right, that sites have to stop thinking about SEO, search engine optimization.
Yes, that's right.
And start thinking about AIO.
Or as I would call it, AEIOU.
AEIOU. But if you're, let's say, selling running shoes, you have to make sure that when somebody does an AI search for running shoes, that you show up.
That's right.
And a lot of companies are saying, "Oh no, don't scrape me. I don't want to be in that." No, but
AI that's not scrape. It's programmatic. See, we're thinking about this the wrong way. Like the goal here is that if someone goes to your site, you have a pretty site that works. Whatever, it's fine. But if someone says, like, I'm going to use an AI agent 2 seconds from now, and you want that to be working with that thing on the back end, like you definitely want that, because otherwise that's the way people are just going to do that. Like they'll be walking from their car to their house and say, just buy me the best pair of shoes,
right,
of whatever kind. Let's do it.
Increasingly,
and it will show up tomorrow. You're not even going to think about it. You'll just say it. So you're going to be there. You got to be there.
Shoes.
It doesn't work today.
You know my size.
Yeah, and then you get these clown shoes. Because it's AI, and AI doesn't work half the time.
I hallucinated clown shoes.
What is this like? Yeah, that's going to be like, look, we all do this today with the Amazon, but like, it's like, hey, this is delivery here. It's like, what is it? It's like an Amazon package. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, okay. And then Stephanie will say something like, did you order something? I'm like, oh, maybe.
What do you think?
I don't know.
Probably.
I don't know. And then you open, you're like, oh yeah, that thing.
I ordered that.
That's bad. I clicked on something to get it, right? I mean, when I just say it, like I say all kinds of things out loud. How am I supposed to remember this? Walking like a new car is going to be sitting out front in the driveway. It's like, where's that thing come from? Oh yeah, I was drunk.
It's got a bow on it.
Must be for you. Yeah, I ordered it. It's on my Amex card. Great.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's the nice thing about an Amex card. There's no limit.
There's no limit.
Exactly. Buy a yacht if you really.
Hey, if it wasn't gold, I wouldn't have got a nice car. I don't know. So yeah. Anyway. Okay.
Moving along.
Yep. I don't think this is anything today, but Proton makes an AI chatbot of their own called Lumo, which you can access from their other services, but it's also a standalone chatbot. And they're doing what some other companies are doing. And then this is the part I think that's kind of interesting, which is giving you a choice of open models and protecting your privacy against the owners of those models, like Apple does with Apple Intelligence and ChatGPT, right? And right now,
it's a kitty cat.
It's a cute little cat, and it's limited and it's small, and it uses like the small models, right? It uses like
Gemma,
Bristol Small 3, whatever. So they just got, but they're also kind of doing a Eurostack thing, which is meaning they're trying to lessen reliance on US based big tech. Right. And so, they host in Germany, yes, but European countries, et cetera, et cetera. So this thing is, it's going to be limited at first, of course. It's like anything else. You can use it for free. You can pay them and get more or whatever. But they did just
it's encrypted. Even the conversation is encrypted.
End to end. Yeah,
wow.
They do all the right stuff. It's Proton. Like they do it right. It's open source. You can look at it. If you don't believe it's safe, you can look at the code. And I think there's a future here, but it's not there today. So this 1.1 release comes, 2 or 3 months after the initial release. It's a dramatic improvement in both sophistication and performance, but it's still little AI, I guess, but I think it's going to get there. Like, I think this is it. This kind of thing, I think this is interesting. If we can get people to kind of accept the fact that they're probably going to be paying if they weren't really good quality. And then at that point, it's like, well, you want to go with a company you can actually trust and an AI you can trust, et cetera. I think there's, DuckDuckGo is probably going to get there. Brave will try. Opera, well, I'm not sure what they're doing, but yeah, this notion of like, we're going to give you the models you want, right? But we're also going to protect you from the big tech predator, that's behind the model. It's not a bad business model.
Yeah, you're a big Proton fan.
Yeah, no,
they're in the position now of maybe
them,
moving out of Switzerland because of
because they might change the laws there to be a little less private. So like, we're not doing that.
Good for them.
Yeah,
good on them.
It's incredible. Yeah.
That's what I expect from a bunch of physicists.
Yes, right. They're going to take, and they're taking our CERN with us. Yep.
All right.
Chris has a
rant.
Controversial topic.
Should I get the gong?
I'm gonna take us off topic again, I guess. But I don't know. Like I was writing about this yesterday, and I know you've probably talked about Windows 2030 a bunch, but it's just like there's this AI in general is I feel like everyone is getting it wrong, and maybe not here, but in general, like it's either like, okay, well, it's either going to replace everyone's job tomorrow or it can't do anything, and it's like, well, neither of those is really true.
I 100% agree.
Neither of those is really true. And, I think there's just too much hype because there's so much hype that even I want to just come out and yell about AI laptops, and I did because there's too much hype. But like, if there was not that much hype and you could just discover like, oh, look, I just actually got access to Comet, and it's like kind of cool and kind of like, it's actually plotting. It's like, do this thing in Google Maps is taking 4 minutes. Like, okay, now I'm clicking this, clicking that. It's actually, like, it's interesting. It's not going to, replace.
This is what I mean by programmatic, but that's, once it can actually just control that site instead of it like,
But so like, if there wasn't this much hype and you could just discover this weird technology and that no one was talking about, you think maybe this is kind of cool. This is interesting. I could play with this. Like, it's interesting to play with Comet. Like, technology is, in some ways, it's actually pretty fun to play with, like chatbots. It's pretty fun to play with, like Comet. It's pretty fun to play with an image creator. This can be interesting, but there's too much hype. But like the Windows 2030 stuff, I really was bothered by the especially the pull quote of like, oh, it's mice and keyboards are going to be alien in 5 years, and it's like that's such a bad way of communicating with your audience. Well, I mean, it actually reminds me of Windows 8. It's like, oh, we're gonna be a voice first, just like we were touch first. It's like, well,
so
I mean, people are gonna want, it's actually like it makes people bristle. It's like, I don't want that AI thing.
Well, but hold on.
And by the way, 71% in the most recent poll I saw of people are afraid of and dislike AI, and that's exactly why, right? They're being sold the wrong story.
But the Microsoft's not going to make the mistake of Windows 8 again, right? Like these things will be additive. They'll just be, if we're going to talk to our like when Microsoft added Cortana to Windows 10. It was like, well, baby, if there was a voice way of making this work, I could see that. And then there were these other things they did in Windows 10, like the live tiles, where I was like, no, because you're hiding that. The point of this is it has to be seen to be useful. So there were some things that work and some things that didn't. And obviously Cortana has disappeared. But I think that pull quote that you're talking about is the thing that freaked everyone out. And by everyone, I mean like us, like people our age and older who are old timers and have been doing this forever, and you'll pull my keyboard from my cold stiff hand or whatever the phrase is. And the point isn't so much, is literally not that voice is going to replace keyboard mouse, just like touch didn't, but rather that it's something that will be there when you need it. And so I think who they're really speaking to is a younger generation. And I think they, in one of those two videos, they referenced this generation where these people don't use devices that have keyboards and mice, and they don't, they don't understand this to them is foreign, whereas this to me is a lifeline. But Windows. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. But like the funny thing is, in the pull quote they said Gen Z, which Gen Z is 13 to 29. So the idea that a 29-year-old is going to find a keyboard foreign in 5 years is crazy. So obviously they're talking about actually a younger generation, Gen Alpha, fine. But it's funny because the same companies will say one day, oh, you got to be a prompt engineer and be really good at typing the precise things, and you got to be a good prompt engineer. And then the next day it's like, well, you're really just going to ramble at your computer. You're really not even going to need a keyboard. It's like, well, which is it? And also, guess what? Guess what? Even when OpenAI is going to come up with their new device, and they're working with Jony Ive and people are going to come up with new devices, but even if there's a new device and everyone loves it, people are still going to want PCs to be PCs and to have keyboards and have mice. And I have a smartphone and I love it, but I need my PC to be a PC. So Microsoft's in a bit of between a rock and a hard place. But also, I think they would have a better time selling AI to people if they didn't say insane things like this.
Yeah, but so this is that competing masters thing. I'm 58 years old, right? Is that true? Yeah, 58. So I have to always do the math on that. And look, I am going to be using a keyboard and a mouse or a touchpad or whatever for the rest of my life. And I came up in the age of computers, home computers, personal computers, literally PCs, Windows, whatever. This is my thing, right? So I'm less comfortable on a phone than I am on a PC. I can't type on a phone. I can type like a nut job on a PC, but I can't on a phone. They're not speaking to me. They don't care what I'm going to be retired when this thing comes through. So who cares what I think? And also look, Microsoft there's no Gen Z or younger people listening to Microsoft talk about Windows 2030 anyway. Who cares? This is for Wall Street. This is for stock price. This is for investors. We're not missing this boat, but I always there's a real knee jerk thing that can occur where you see that and you have that response. Not you. I mean, we're one, like Mary Jo did this. We talked about this last week a little bit jokingly. It's like, no, screw that. Stop touching notepads, stop changing things. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I hear you, but the fundamental problem with Windows 8 wasn't the idea or the touch thing or whatever. It was just so one way. They optimized this thing for touch in a world where everyone had normal computers. And it was like, guys, you're screwing us all over here. And this is the thing I think they're very careful to be different about now because they saw what happened.
I hope so.
And they are. The keyboard and mice don't go away. Not when you sometimes you need a big screen. You need to type like a person. But the natural language thing will be there too, and the computer will have. We've already gone from a world where we have webcams, right? We have IR sensors for Windows Hello. We have integrated microphones and whatever. Computers today have presence sensors, but they also have these other capabilities that are it's kind of a goofy term, but it's like room sensing kind of things. You can sense when someone's looking over someone's shoulder and dim the screen so they don't steal your ideas or whatever. And so what they're really talking about is an expansion of that stuff, that you will interact more in this kind of natural way. Even people who are kind of cynical about this might have experienced by now this thing where you talk to ChatGPT or whatever it is out in the world. You walk around, you talk, it talks back to you. You have this conversation and then you do this thing. You're like, wow, okay, actually, this is completely different than anything I've ever done. And it's actually pretty good. Give it a chance. But I don't think while you're doing that, someone's taking the keyboard away from your desk. It's that's always going to be there. It's a PC.
But So I wrote about that. I actually maybe it's just because I'm like you and I don't really want to type 10 paragraphs on my phone. It takes forever.
God,
especially with AI in the phone, it's like rambling with the voice to text works so well. But it could work well in a computer. But it's just this is just like the AI hype in general, right? It's either going to be nothing or it's going to entirely replace the keyboard and mouse, and it's just. Like,
I mean, go back and watch the original Copilot Plus PC announcement if you want to see a complete disconnect with reality. Just like, and then compare it to what actually happened, and it's like, guys, like, come on,
recall.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just the way they did. As soon as they started talking about that, I was like, oh, I can already tell how this is going to go. And it was way worse than I thought too. But you can just tell, like, they just don't. They have a certain cluelessness about how they present themselves or whatever. I sort of vaguely appreciate they're even making videos. Honestly, this is something. They stopped doing this for a long time. They haven't done a vision video. Decades. It's been a long time. So the fact that they're thinking about the future with regards to Windows is sort of a good idea, or good to me, or positive or whatever. Although there are, given all the updates we get every month, there are times when I wish they would forget it existed, honestly. But
yeah.
Anyway, I don't think you or I have to worry about keyboards ever disappearing. But
thank goodness.
Let's hope.
Carpal tunnel is real.
Yeah, I know. That's why I use these crazy keyboards.
You're watching, and I'm so glad you are, my friends. You are watching Windows Weekly. Paul Thurrott, Chris Hoffman filling in for Richard Campbell. We're glad you're here. We do this show every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1800 UTC. You can watch us live, and many of you are right now, 369 of you, in our Club Twit Discord, on YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, X.com, Facebook, LinkedIn, Kick. We like having you watch live. We appreciate it. But of course, you can also watch after the fact on the website, twit.tv/WW, on YouTube, where there's a dedicated channel to the video. Great way to share clips. And the best thing to do, subscribe on your favorite podcast player, and you get it automatically the minute we're done of a Wednesday. Back to the show. Let's talk developers.
Yeah. So I've mentioned repeatedly that in many ways, GitHub Copilot is one of the better examples of how AI can be useful. But I'm also me, so it's also one of the ways that has annoyed the hell out of me using a computer, like on a fairly daily basis. And the reason is it does things that are pretty great. You can type the beginning of a function or a method or or whatever, or type a line of code, whatever it is, and it just autofills sometimes 20, 30 lines of code. You look at it and you're like, yeah, that was what I was going to type. That's amazing. It's amazing. It can be amazing. There are other times though, where I'm maybe typing some line of code and it's trying to anticipate what it is I'm going to type. So I'll type like the name of an object dot, and then it will be the name of like a property or a method that is associated with that thing. And I type the first letter and it autofills some other thing. And I'm like, nope, that is not what I want. And then sometimes getting that thing back is a little tedious. And so I'm apparently not the only person that has complained about this, because in the latest version of Visual Studio, which came out, I think last week now, they have added several options in settings where you can actually tune this stuff down a little bit. And so, for example, you can change it so that when you're typing code, it won't try to autocomplete until you've paused for a second or two. And that's the thing I've been running into, especially where I type pretty fast, right? I'm like, okay, and it's like, because as I type quickly, it autofills or auto completes, I guess, and the whole thing fills in. You're like, well, what is this? Like I was in the middle of writing like a single line of code. Like, what is this? So there's a bunch of little options like that, and if you use this tool, strongly recommend looking at this. I'm experimenting with this now because I want to find the right balance, because I do like the code completion stuff, but I also, sometimes it's a little too much, a little too fast or whatever. So, and then I guess this is semi-related only because when I'm in Visual Studio, this is what I'm doing. But Microsoft has come under a lot of fire from developers about the Windows App SDK, which is the modern replacement for that app platform we've been referencing a few times that began with Windows 8, right? One of the big differences is that this is actually targets desktop apps. They've gone away from the mobile part of it, but it's the same basic APIs, and they've removed some dependencies on Windows versions, et cetera, et cetera. The problem is, there are many problems with the Windows App SDK, and you don't have time or care, but one of the big ones is that they don't ever seem to respond to anyone who has questions or complaints. They never seem to fix any bugs. The first time this came up a few weeks ago, I referenced something that was over 5 years old where they were like, yeah, we acknowledge this is a problem. Never fixed it. the documentation's out of date. Chris mentioned the Windows Copilot runtime, which came and went, except that it never came because they announced that in May 2024 and didn't ship the first early preview for developers until the following February. They still haven't shipped it in stable. And you still can't ship an app in stable using this technology. It's like, what are you guys doing? It was supposed to be in Windows App SDK last fall or summer or whatever, like a year ago.
They're hyping AI.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I even hate to use this term. I'm not even sure there is a team that actually works in this thing, but the people who are still there, who haven't been laid off or whatever, or, aren't off working on more important things at Microsoft, have heard the complaints and are responding, and they've come up with a plan. And the end game here is they're going to open source the Windows App SDK like they did with WPF and Windows Forms and .NET. And I'm assuming part of the goal is that means a lot of the support weight would follow the community, where if there's a control that doesn't work right or some whatever it is like that, the community can now fix this, because Microsoft's never going to. I have run into so many things in the Windows App SDK that are just missing, like crazy things that are missing, that are available in older frameworks that have been around for 20 years. Like they just work fine. And as I keep trying to build this version of the app in the Windows App SDK, I keep running into this problem. So anyway, they provided an update. They're basically through with what they call phase 1. So a preview version of the Windows App SDK 1.8 has shipped. And then they were supposed to ship the final version by the end of the month. What is it? The date is what? The 27th. They've got a couple of days, so they could still do it. Probably going to be September, but this is going to get them on the path to supporting this stupid thing better, hopefully. But who's making Windows native apps today other than me? Nobody, right? Nobody.
Well, what do they make if they don't make Windows native apps? What do they make?
Cross-platform apps of any kind.
Really?
Flutter,
you think
web.
That's the case? It's all.
Yeah, for new apps. Yeah. I mean, why would you target just Windows? Like,
you're right.
Who's going to do
web
that?
app.
games, that's it.
Yeah.
Games.
Games.
Well,
yeah.
AI web browsers, that's a new Windows native app.
Yes. Okay. That's true. Okay. Fair enough.
That's actually fascinating. That is a big
Yeah.
shift.
Yeah. Well, web browsers, web browsers were stealing share from other apps 20 years ago. That was Steven Sinofsky used to write about that back in the day. And then,
remember when Facebook released an app that was essentially just a web app for iPhone, and people hated it. And finally, Facebook said, we're going to do a native app. And that was maybe 15 years ago. Everybody said, maybe 10 years ago. Oh, thank God, native apps.
And it's just
now,
like a wrap. No one would even know if you did it today.
You can't
These
tell
things
anymore.
are so sophisticated.
Yeah.
And by the way, why are we even thinking about this at this point? Like these things, like who cares? What is
the framework that is there one that's generally preferred
in Windows?
Yeah.
No. So there's
it's not just Electron. It's not.
No. So if you look, first of all, there's no such thing. I mean, asterisks for new greenfield, native apps on Windows. Like it's not happening. Not at scale, right? So
because what hasn't been written, I guess, is part of the problem.
And why would anyone do that now? Like
right.
if I have the greatest idea for a new app and I only want it to run on Windows, said nobody ever, right? So that's just not going to happen.
Isn't that a shift?
It's a huge shift, right? But this happened a long time ago. I mean, this happened a long time.
I just wasn't paying attention.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is something, this is a big discussion, but what we do have are these, like the Windows App SDK is really, I'm using it to make a new app, which is stupid, but most people that
but you're doing it for fun. This is not a business.
I'm doing it for fun. I hate myself is what I'm doing it for. I have no idea why I'm doing it. I can't even
But that's the fun for you. You love it. You're
torturing myself is fun. Okay,
yeah.
fair enough. Most people, in the Windows space, what they have is a legacy app of some kind, and they want to modernize.
They got to maintain all that C++.
But they want to make it look prettier, right? And so it can be used for this purpose. That's that's probably the biggest use case, actually, modernize an app. If you did latch onto that Metro modern UWP framework, you could also transform your app into a desktop app using this thing and move it into the modern world. That's, they're pretty good at that kind of stuff. They rejuvenated WPF last year because so many companies were still using it internally. There were thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of these apps out in the world. And they were looking increasingly out of date, especially on Windows 11. They're like, all right, so we could throw a skin on there. It would look fine.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's
Do
just
that
a
kind of
skin.
stuff.
The underlying stuff is the same, right?
Yeah. So they're doing that's what we have. We do have React Native, right? So you could create an app that would
React is completely
across
yeah.
Mac, Windows, Windows, Android,
The thing is, you want to be available on mobile too. Right?
That's right.
So,
yeah, and you want to. There are all these terms in the developer space. You want your app to be responsive, meaning if you're running it on a big screen, it looks like a desktop thing. If you're running on a small screen, it looks like a phone app. It's full screen, whatever. We're getting into these weird spaces with iPad and Android tablets or Android phones, even where you can run windowed apps, and it should, respond to those changes, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, we're never going to get a modern native Windows only app SDK ever again. Like that's over. Like it's just over. And by the way, I look at this thing and I'm like, maybe this is for the best, because Windows App SDK is a dumpster fire. It is unbelievable.
It's time.
Bad.
It's time.
Yeah, it's bad.
Here we are 2 hours in, and we haven't even done the Xbox segment.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Thurrott, kick it off. Let's go, man.
This stuff happening. All right. So this has been a pretty good week for Xbox again. The big news is that Microsoft, just before the show started, this is a little confusing, but if you're familiar with Game Pass today, you know that there's Game Pass. I'm going to forget the name. There's a Game Pass Core, which is what used to be Xbox Live Gold. There's Xbox Game Standard, which used to be Xbox Game Pass, right? The one that gave you the day and date on console only. PC Game Pass, which is its equivalent on PC. And then Xbox, or I guess now it's just Game Pass Ultimate, which is all of that stuff combined, plus
I can't imagine anyone would be confused by any of that. I mean, that seems so sensible.
It's getting more. I'm about to make it more complicated. So if you do have Xbox or whatever it's called, Game Pass Ultimate, you get into the cloud streaming stuff, right? This is Xbox Cloud Gaming. You do that through the Xbox app. You can do it to mobile. You can do it to smart TVs, whatever. Streaming. They have talked recently, and now we know why, about the possibility of bringing that capability to like lower cost subscriptions. I sort of thought it was going to be like a standalone cloud gaming thing, but I guess not. Instead, what they're doing is in the Xbox Insider program. So on a PC or actually a console, you have to enroll that device into it. You get the new version of the dashboard or the app, and then you get new capabilities before they're available publicly. You can now test some version of cloud gaming on Xbox Game Pass Core and Standard and PC Game Pass, which is confusing. To date, Xbox Cloud Gaming, which is streaming, has streamed Xbox games, right? So if you're on a PC or a phone or whatever, the game you're looking at is an Xbox. It's an Xbox game, which is, can be bad on mobile because the screen's so small, if there's little text, right? So part of the deal there is they want to update these games so that they can tell what they're running. That's the reactive thing, actually. And you'll have the option to, use touch controls maybe, or, have changed the UI, et cetera. Now, what they're testing on the PC is there are also select PC games that will stream via Xbox Cloud Gaming to PCs. So we don't know what those are yet. I actually can't test this, oddly, because I have Game Pass Ultimate, and that's not included in this. So I don't get to see this. But apparently, if you're not yet anyway, for some reason, this is limited to core and standard tiers of the subscription. You have to be in the Insider program, like I said, and then they're playing around with this. So it's kind of interesting. So I'd like to see this, but I'm not going to start a new account. So I don't know. I'm curious about this. Tied, I think, is this in the notes? I think this is tied to this. Yeah. So it's not in the notes, but tied to this, also in the Insider program on Xbox, is the ability to see multiple stores inside of the Xbox app. So if you have Steam, Epic Game Store, and then GOG and a couple of others, and you've installed games, you can actually access those games from the Xbox app, which is like a dashboard, which is literally the UI on one of those handheld gaming PCs that are coming out soon. So that's right now, of course, that features PC only because those stores are on PC. But the theory is that Xbox will be a PC, will be a Windows PC next gen. And when that's the case, that means that even from what we're going to call a console or whatever it is, or from these gaming handhelds, you'll be able to access whatever games you bought on Steam or wherever else. And then do it from that one UI, which is actually kind of cool. So potentially that will be coming to the console eventually. So yes, so someone asked, but not Game Pass PC. Yes, it is Game Pass PC's part of it, but it's a different test. They're testing making select PC games available for cloud streaming. So these would be PC games streaming from Microsoft servers in the cloud, which is the first.
Yeah, which is really huge because, if you're a PC, especially on the Snapdragon laptops, where you couldn't download a single PC game, you go in and you go to the interface, you can cloud stream it. And it's like sometimes there's a game that is on PC. It has a PC version optimized for keyboard and mouse.
But you're not streaming.
And then it has the console version. But you're streaming the console version. So it's like, well, now get out your controller. It's like, but can I use my mouse? No, because it's not the PC version of the PC game on your PC.
Yep. Yeah. They'll get it there eventually.
They're getting it there, apparently.
I don't know. It isn't. I'm sorry. That was actually the notes. I was just talking about that, but there it is. So for the past year, I've been playing Call of Duty again. So I'm playing the latest game. I don't play it as much as I used to, but it infuriates me just as much as it used to. So that's good. And actually, they found a way to infuriate me even more. So instead of just, it being some random camper idiot who's always in the same exact place on a map, they are giving out these, or selling them. I don't know how they price selling them, but they've been doing these like tie-ins all year. Now, this is not unique to this year, but it's been really bad this year. So the first one was that I can recall might have been, Squid Game. So there are all these Squid Game characters running around in Call of Duty, and you're like, okay, whatever. It was like Terminator 2. You're like, okay, maybe, So you're sitting there playing the game, and you're looking down the thing, and you hear some voice behind you go, "I'll be back," and you're like, "Oh, that's hilarious." What does that have to do with Call of Duty? I have no idea. But then it got really weird. Like there was a Seth Rogen skin.
No.
So he walks around mumbling to himself, and he's like, "I'm not even sure I care about war. What am I doing here?" It's ridiculous, and I don't even know what that's tied to. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Well, no, it's not, because the next thing is the stupidest thing. So from there, it was like Mutant Ninja Turtles. Those guys are hopping around with the stupid shells and whatever. And then the latest one is Beavis and Butthead.
No.
So like you're playing the game. First of all, these things are humongous. They're humongous. So this guy's hiding behind a wall. You can see like his head because it's huge sticking over the top. And you're like, all right, whatever, I'm going to kill this idiot. But the whole game, it's like, I'm going to score. And it's like, oh my God, what are you doing in this game? And the thing is, look, I don't care that they offer this stuff in a way. But what I do care about is I can't turn it off myself. Like, I don't want to see this crap. Like, what is this? Like, so.
Fortnite. You can blame Fortnite for this.
Yeah, absolutely. I do, actually. Right. And by the way, this is where that stuff belongs in Fortnite. This is a military shooter, right? Yes. So Microsoft or Activision recently announced Black Ops 7. So this thing's shipping, I think, in the beginning of November this year. Obviously, EA has announced Battlefield 6, which looks unbelievable, super realistic, military-grounded, military shooter, whatever. This game's never going to outsell Call of Duty, but this has intensified the calls from people who are like hardcore Call of Duty guys to be like, could you stop doing this, please? Like, the stuff you're doing is terrible. So one of the things they had announced a week earlier was that all of your stuff from Black Ops 6 multiplayer would come forward to Black Ops 7, meaning if you bought that Beavis and Butthead skin, you could play it. You could play as those characters in 7 too. And, you hear that, or I hear that, and I'm like, it's like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Like, it's just so annoying. So they got so many complaints about this. And I think Battlefield 6 really helped. I really think this is what put it over top. They actually announced we're not doing that anymore. So forget it. Like, we're not doing it. They're still going to bring things forward in Warzone, which is their Battle Royale type game, like a Fortnite type game. But in the main Call of Duty game, the multiplayer modes, those skins and weapons too, and whatever else are not coming forward anymore. And thank you. Like, just return to, common sense.
Like, don't you make enough money already? You have to start selling Seth Rogen skins. Come on.
Seth Rogen. Are you kidding?
That's weird.
It is bizarre.
But it was very popular in Fortnite, all these like Sabrina Carpenter skins.
Well, some of the Fortnite, it's like Darth Vader or something.
These are
like,
kids.
Oh, okay, it's fun. It's fun. Like, I get it. I'm not like a goon about this, but it's so stupid. Like, I don't understand why I can't turn it off. Like, I could turn off the microphone so that no one, I don't have to
because somebody paid a lot of money for that skin.
Okay, but look, if you have the skin and no one else sees it, how would you know?
Well, that's true.
How would you even know?
They wouldn't be shooting at you. I don't know. That's a good question.
No, I mean, how would you know? Who cares? Like, it's like you bought it, you're happy, like it benefit yourself and whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's
a good mini rant. I like it. Good job.
Well, it's super localized to something very specific, but like, I don't know, just as an adult, I'm looking at this like, come on, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
There's been a bunch of things that happened recently. I've been sort of reading up on the video game industry for various reasons. I read this book about Gabe Newell that was terrible, but he's an interesting person. And I went back to some older older books I'd bought like a million years ago. Like there was a book about Nintendo and I'm just anticipating some things down the line. But I came across something where I was like, wait a minute. And maybe this is common knowledge, but I just wrote about this. The 30% fee that mobile app stores just kind of do without any reason whatsoever, like literally pulled that number out of the air with no regard to anything, is from Nintendo. And when when 1983, two big things happened. One, the video game crash occurred in the United States, basically killing all of the consoles we had at the time, 2600, 5200, Mattel Intellivision, ColecoVision, et cetera. That was the end of that. And then we had like a 2 to 4 year time span where nothing happened with video games, basically. And we moved to home computers. But the other thing that happened in 1983 was Nintendo released what we called the NES, the Famicom, in Japan. And it was originally released with just games that Nintendo made. And like, to me, in the early 1980s, looking at Nintendo, to me, they were like a B-level kind of second-rate kind of video game company. It was like, they didn't have like Pac-Man, Galaxian, like the good stuff. They had like Donkey Kong, whatever, Popeye. It's like, like who cares? But then two of the game companies, including Namco, which made Pac-Man, went to them and said, look, you got to let us make games in this thing. How's that going to work? And they were like, oh, and because the market had just died in the United States, which was the market, they said, well, we can't let that happen again. So too many games, no quality control, no licensing, no anything. It was just third-party developers, in many cases, either left Atari and just knew how to do this stuff or reverse engineered it, whatever it was. A lot of video games, the crash occurred, whatever. So they're like, what do you think we should do? And these two, I can't remember the other one. One was, like I said, was Namco, but I can't remember the other name. The other company, but they basically said, well, you should have a licensing program, and then you could just approve of the games that, come out on your system. Also, we're small companies. We can't afford to do this. You could make the games. You could actually physically manufacture them. You could charge us for that. And they were like, okay. So Nintendo and the two companies arrived at a 10% fee for licensing, which sounds like a pretty good fee, by the way, for Apple and Google, I'm just saying. And then the other 20% was physical manufacturing of cartridges, which was expensive, right? And that's where this came from. Sega immediately adopted this. They had a similar system in Japan. They both came to the United States in 1987-ish. And that was the thing. They didn't sell these things as video game consoles. They were like, it's an entertainment system. It's a control center. It's they did everything other than say this plays video games. Look, you can play with a little robot. It's fun. It's for kids, And Sony entered the market, whatever. And this has been the fee structure ever since. And so Apple will never admit this, but when Apple came up with 30%, it wasn't like, well, how much is this costing us? It's like nothing. This is going to be hugely profitable. Like, okay, 30%. Yeah, let's do 30%. So it's Nintendo. So I guess, I don't know if you want to thank Nintendo or if you want to thank the 1983 video game crash, but it is astonishing to me that 40 years later, we are still living with the ramifications of this, right? So we'll see. I think Antitrust will unwind this, but I feel like if Apple or Google had just said, you know what, we'll take 10%, we wouldn't even be talking about this now. Like that would be the end of it. No one would care. 10% sounds about right.
Yeah, I don't, they never do mention the fact that the gaming companies are taking 30%. And
well, this is also part of the story. So yeah, they are. So when people write about antitrust and Apple especially, they'll be like, man, video game companies are going to have to watch out. It's like, why? But why? No, I mean, why? Because it's the same system. Apple has a monopoly,
Right.
and also controls a market that is several billion people. Nintendo, I had to write this. I have to look this up because I don't remember this. But like, if you just look at like the best-selling console of all time, right, is the PlayStation 2, if I'm not mistaken. The current gen, like Nintendo Switch, is about to overtake it. This thing has sold fewer than 300 million units over several years. Apple sells that many iPhones in 2 quarters every year.
But I'm sure that's where Apple got the 30%.
I am too. No,
yeah.
I am too.
Yeah.
Which was fine when the App Store was small and they weren't in any way dominant and it didn't matter. But Google, like Sega did to Nintendo, just copied it. They have no rationale for it either. Apple's doing it. That's our reason. And, if like, just look at these companies today, like the best year Nintendo ever had financially was 2020, $16 billion in revenues. Apple's revenues that year were $275 billion, order of magnitude bigger. Last year, they were $390 billion. Apple's profits last year were over $90 billion in each of the past 4 years. Nintendo's highest ever profits were $6 billion. These are completely different markets.
Yeah, it's different. It's a really different category.
Completely different market. That's why antitrust is so important. It's scale. Scale is a big part of it. The market definition is important. If you have a monopoly on like corner markets in some neighborhood, nobody cares. It's too small. But if you have a monopoly in this kind of market, that's serious. That's serious.
So antitrust is such a big part of it, right? Steam also, Valve takes 30%, but Valve can say, hey, we use it to make things people like, and if you don't like it, you can go to Epic and get 10%, but guess what? People love Steam. But Apple market. It's not a competitive market. Even Google can make an argument like, well, people prefer the Play Store to the Amazon App Store. Look what happened to the Amazon App Store. But Apple, obviously you can't get apps from elsewhere. So
yep. Let us, that's it's a signal to me. You guys are ready for the back of the book. And we will do that in just a bit. Tips and picks coming up. No whiskey this week, sorry to say. Right. But the good news is Richard is traveling the world collecting whiskeys.
That's right. Yep. He's like a magnet for whiskey bottles.
It adheres to his body. It's amazing.
That's right. And then, yes.
So he'll come back with lots to talk about. Chris, you don't have any vices you'd like to share with us?
I'm on the road right now. I do not have. I
was really going to have my wife do something, but I actually forgot. And then, what? We can keep it on. We can keep it
Your
on.
Your favorite chewing gum?
My vice is Windows, unfortunately.
What do you like?
Sometimes it's pretty bad for me caring about Windows.
What's your favorite candy? Do you have a candy that you like? I think we should have a candy segment on this show.
A candy of the week.
Candy of the week? Dried fruit of the week? I don't know. Just something. Anyway, think about it.
Kombucha of the week.
Our kombucha of the week.
I should have brought a kombucha.
You're watching Windows Weekly. Paul Thurrott, Chris Hoffman, the great Chris Hoffman, filling in for Paul. Great to have you. Thank you, Chris. We will have more in a minute. The back of the book coming up. Of course, a reminder, all of this happens thanks to you and your support in the club. And we are very grateful for all of our Club Twit members. They make this possible. Club Twit is $10 a month. With it, you get ad-free versions of all the shows. You get access to the best darn, social network in the world because, it's exclusive. You got to figure when people pay $10 to be in our Club Twit Discord, they care about it. They've got an investment in it, and so it's that much better. That's why the animated GIFs are real. Their animated GIFs are real. Look at that. They're now choosing their favorite candies. You support also the programming we do, and that's key, right? Without you, we would not be able to do all the shows we do. We'd not be able to hire and staff it up as we have, because frankly, Club Twit now pays 25% of our operating costs. That makes a big difference. We thank you so much. Twit.tv/Club Twit. We've got some events coming up you might want to know about in the club. On Labor Day, Monday, we're working. Paris and Jeff and I are going to be interviewing Karen Howe. Her new book, The Empire of AI, is really a scathing indictment of OpenAI and its practices. 5:30 p.m. Pacific. September 1st. The Apple event has been announced, and perhaps you know this, but we used to love to do these, simulcasts of the Apple and other events. But because Apple has tried to take us down so many times, we've decided to keep those in the club only. They're no longer in the public. So if you want to watch Micah and my coverage of Apple's awe-dropping event September 9th, you got to join the club. We'll be doing it in the Discord. What's good about that is it means you can participate as well. We've done this now a few times with the Made by Google event and the Microsoft Build keynote. We're going to do Facebook Connect as well. So, in fact, we're going to do more keynotes because of the club. So thank you. Also shows like Paul's Hands on Windows, Home Theater Geeks, Hands on Apple with Micah Sargent, our photo time with Chris Marquardt. A lot of stuff happens in the club. In the club. No bottle full of bub, but you will be in the club. So I hope you will be in the club. Go to twit.tv/clubtwit. Support what we do. Think of it as a vote in favor of the content you get at Twit. We really appreciate it. It makes a huge difference to us. As you know, we no longer get government support. So it's really important that we never got government support. If only we had gotten government support. It's up to you to keep it flowing. Twit.tv/clubtwit. And thank you in advance to all our great club members. Now, Paul has some tips.
Maybe there's a government intervention that could save us.
That would be good.
I feel like we're a national security.
Yeah. Support for Windows Weekly is provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasts.
The Commerce Department.
Yes.
Yeah, whatever.
The Commerce Department. Yes. No.
Okay.
It's not going to happen.
So we're going to round robin this, I guess. So Chris and I both have a tip.
Okay.
And then we both have a.
Okay. Well, let me then pull Chris back in. I was going to give him a moment to go have some kombucha.
Yeah, don't you dare. No, this will be quick. I pulled this one out of the AI section because I was actually kind of blown away by this. I mentioned that Notebook LM when it first came out, especially, but ongoing is just like super impressive. But they also just updated the Gemini model that does image creation. And this is the thing. Remember when it might have still been called Bard at the time, but back when Google first came out of the gate, they kind of, stumbled and face raked and, did really badly out of the gate. They had to pull the image generation stuff because it was creating like crazy kind of racist imagery in some cases or whatever. And they were like, all right, we're going to get a handle on this. And I can tell you, they kind of turned the corner on this because if you haven't looked at it, go to gemini.google.com, whatever, and just have it create an image or have it edit an image that you already have. You can have it add or use two images to create a single image. Like here's a dog in one photo and here's me, and like make a photo of us, but we're on the beach and I'm hugging the dog kind of thing. Like it's crazy how good this looks. Like it's really, really good. And anyway, it's worth looking at. So given that this just happened, Microsoft obviously does image generation stuff through Copilot, and it's, designer.microsoft.com, et cetera, et cetera.
Is this the new Nano Banana, or is this something?
Yes, this is it. No, this is an order of magnitude better than what Microsoft does. Like it's not even...
It's really interesting, the competition that's going on now, because each of them is getting better in turn.
Yep.
I'll have to try.
So you can expect Microsoft will turn, they'll turn up some knob and they'll get there too. But like this thing, when they announced, well, even before they announced, remember this thing kind of leaked, like this Nano Banana thing. It's like, what is this thing? And it was the next gen version of Gemini's image generation model. It's super good. Like I did I don't know if I could. I'm trying to think if there's an easy way for me to do this.
Put it in the Discord and I can show it. Can you paste it in there?
Yeah, I'm trying to think how would I get to it from this computer. Let me see. I've
seen a few on Twitter that are kind of.
Oh, did I put it in an article? Yeah, I did actually. So if you go to the article,
okay.
I'm sorry, it's there. So there's a picture that Mary Jo and I are in it that we took at Ignite 2019. So the last Ignite before the pandemic.
Oh, you turn it into a cowboy.
Yeah, like an Old West thing.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. Now, the guy in the front, Gary, 100% nailed him. Like, it's perfect.
Yeah, you looked like you lost 10 years. And
Mary Jo did too, and whatever. But as far as like it looking like a photo and looking realistic and kind of matching the style I was looking for, et cetera.
It's a Western selfie.
Yeah, this is pretty good.
It'll do video too, right? No?
That's a separate model, but yes, they do that too. And so that's might be Veo, or VO, however you pronounce it. But that's the one where you take a photo and it makes it into a 10 or 12 second, whatever video.
Right.
Which, is that cool kind of effect where it's like a photo from the 1920s, like your great grandparents, and they're just holding each other in black and white. And then you do a color version where they actually kind of move around a little bit. And you're like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like some of that stuff is pretty cool. But the image gen stuff was like kind of their Achilles heel for a long time. And like, I really feel like this one, it's like, you should look at this. Like it's worth looking at.
This is, this is on Twitter. I don't know if I guess this is, so it's from Barbie, and they swapped in the face. they took Ryan Gosling's face, and they swapped in President Trump's, and that's pretty amazing. Mm-hmm. That's apparently an Anna Banana, according to the Twitter folks. So I guess it can do more.
Yeah, it's
got a banana there.
There is a banana. Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. It's VO3 and Kling 2.1.
I thought it was VO.
Yeah. It's the Higgsfield swap to video, whatever that is. I don't know. You see stuff on X.com and you just go, yeah, that must be true.
You could go back. It's not that many years, right? They did the AI generated Grand Moff Tarkin in that Star Wars movie,
and it was clearly Princess fake. Leia. It was like
clearly fake,
not so good.
But then you look at this stuff and you're like, yikes!
Yeah.
Like it's like, and you could just do this on your phone.
That's what's amazing.
What are people asking me about? What am I doing? What bottle am I holding? This is a Dunkin' Donuts coffee mug from the 1980s. It's not alcohol.
It's Dunkin'.
No, it was in the picture that was.
In the thing. Oh, I'm sorry. In the image. I'm sorry. That was just, that looks like, yeah. Oh, so in the real life, that was a bottle of whiskey brought to us by Kyle, who was the guy with the white shirt, from Australia, which was one of the reasons, like we had a couple of different things from a couple of different people. And it was like, we had to get out of the bar, and I was like, let's just go back to my room.
So
there's no closing time there.
One of our, did you, Pretty Fly First, this guy, did you do this in the new model? He took Steve and me and cowboyed us up.
You cowboyed. Nice.
That's good. That's pretty good. I like it. So yeah, I think this is fun. I can't wait to play with this a little bit. Nano.
Yeah, it's worth looking at.
It's no longer, Nano Banana was like a secret code name, right?
Yeah.
And now they've come out and said,
they didn't want people to know what it was until
it's really Gemini. Yeah. Yep. Oh, it looks like it's stuck. That's interesting. Maybe it's changing reality.
That is amazing. Or maybe you're just wearing a hat.
Or maybe I'm just wearing a hat. All right, continue. That's a good one. I like it. You get points for that. What else?
Yeah. So my tip, a 2-part tip. Main part of the tip, subscribe to my new newsletter. Windows
good tip.
Me.
Good tip.
It's a good tip.
Good tip.
It is free, and it's email if you want to email. You could read it on Substack. You could read it on Substack on the web. You could read it on Substack in the app. And when you're doing
Chris,
that, you could read Paul Thurrott's Substack as well, Eternal Spring.
Yes. Thank you.
Which is not about Windows, despite its name.
Nope.
It's about moving to Mexico.
But Chris, this newsletter of yours, it must be full of ads, no?
But there's no ads. No, but I think you'll really like it if you like this. I'll write something about Windows Weekly this week, and you can check that out too. But in terms of actual relevant tips, I was writing about debloating Windows, and I've had some conversations with people over and over who are shocked that I know Paul Thurrott has talked a lot about OneDrive, and OneDrive should be optional. I do end up using it, fine, but it should be optional. And guess what? Most people don't realize you actually can just uninstall OneDrive from Control Panel. Every time I tell that to someone, they're shocked. Yes, you can uninstall it, and it's gone. And you actually don't have to modify a Windows ISO and reinstall Windows to get rid of OneDrive. So that's something I would recommend to people. And in general, debloating, the amount of stuff you can actually just uninstall on a modern version of Windows, often even just from the start menu, just go right-click, uninstall, right-click, uninstall. Yeah. Back in my day, in Windows 10 days, you had to open a PowerShell thing and run the right commands to remove these.
I remember I had a script to
apps.
do that.
Yes. Yeah. So actually a lot of the scripting stuff isn't even necessary anymore. And it's easy to miss that if you've just kind of given up, or if you're just in a habit of running a script, but it's actually pretty easy.
Yeah. That's good, because I would prefer to do it with the uninstaller rather than do it with a script,
Well,
to be honest. That's what I used to do. I used to go through all the things I could uninstall manual, in the uninstall, and then in the remove software. What is it? They still have that remove software dialog? What was it? Add remove software?
Yeah.
They still have that. So you can go through that.
Well, you can do it from settings as well, but yes.
I like it all in one spot. Add remove software. You see all the list, and then you can go, take that out. And more than you think. I think you told me, Paul, about this OneDrive exploit. Remember me suffering because OneDrive kept popping up?
Like a whack-a-mole
like
kind of a thing.
Cancer. And and finally you said, you can't uninstall it.
Yeah. Well, but by the way, this is another area where I think regulatory action actually kind of helped because they were forced to do this in Europe, and in this case, they actually are just making these changes everywhere. So not all of them, but the uninstall, like a lot of the system components are pre-installed apps you can uninstall now, which is great.
Yeah. Like Candy Crush and all that.
Why would you want to install? Come on, let's be sane here for a second.
Never that. Never that.
It's a Microsoft first-party app now.
So that's why I get PTSD when you say Word is now going to save by default to OneDrive account.
Yeah, well, because you've used it on Apple and you realize that as a human being with a brain, maybe this isn't the thing for you. But
the first thing I turn off on a new Mac is the save desktop and documents to iCloud. I don't like that.
Yep,
I want them local.
Yeah, it's the type of thing. Maybe you're on a phone or an iPad, and you're like, okay, I could see it. But like on a Mac where it's a desktop operating system,
Yeah,
I get it.
This is Windows Weekly. Paul Thurrott and Chris Hoffman filling in for Richard Campbell. Let's see. Chris did one and Paul did one. So I think it's your turn now, Chris.
Right?
No. Nope. That was
It
Chris's.
could be.
It's your turn now, Paul.
Okay.
I'm paying attention. I really am.
Yesterday, a couple things happened. Helldivers 2 came out. Haven't tried that. But Gears of War Reloaded came out, and I did try that. So Gears of War Reloaded is a remastered version of the original game. It's actually a remastered version of the last game, which was a remastered version of the last one, which was a
It's not the first time they've remastered, is what you're saying.
No. So there was the original Xbox 360 version, which kind of maxed out at 720p, but really hit that, but looked amazing for the day. And it's a great game.
It's always been a pretty game.
Yeah, it's
I
incredible.
like Gears of War. Yeah.
And they, at least single player, multiplayer is kind of garbage, but this was really innovative and beautiful and a great game, a good story. And they did a remastered version for Windows Vista and what wasn't called Xbox, but was Xbox, which was games for Windows Live. Halo 2 was one of the big launch titles for that. And that added, I want to say 1080p support, and they added levels that couldn't have fit on the Xbox version because the Xbox version in that year, which I think was late 2006 when that game came out, was, an optical disc that only had it wasn't even DVD size, it was small.
It's a CD-ROM.
Yeah, so they had to cut out some content they wanted, including a great level that's actually in all the promotional materials for the game where the dinosaur is attacking. He's got the guy riding on his back. So that level had been cut out. So that version went back in the game, some other stuff. And then, a million years later, probably 2016-ish, they did a version called Gears of War, I want to say Ultimate Edition, which was for Windows 10 through the store. And they added 4K, 120 frames per second support, some other controls, etc. So the version we're getting today is a new version of that. So if you actually have that game, if you ever paid for that or have it in your library, you're going to get this one for free.
Nice.
It's not that different, honestly, on the PC, but because they've added some things in the interim, like you could, I think before it was it could be 60 or 120 frames per second. Now it could be, you could just say, look, I want to limit this to 30 frames per second, but I want to focus on quality graphics, whatever. I've been playing it on a laptop that has a dedicated GPU, a nice GPU, and it's awesome. It's 110, 120 frames a second, 2.8K, native resolution HDR, all the effects on high. And it's it's really good.
It's the Unreal Engine.
Yep.
Yeah. And you said the sound's improved too in your article.
Yeah. So they've added, I think it's Dolby soundtrack and, all this stuff. But the biggest thing is it's basically everywhere. It's not a Nintendo, but it's on PlayStation 5 for the first time ever. It's on Steam. It's across Xbox Series X and S, obviously Xbox and Windows, which is Windows, PC Game Pass Ultimate, Xbox Cloud Gaming. So if you want to stream it, you can do that. And it does cross-play and cross-progression across all platforms. So you could start playing the game in single player on a PlayStation 5, move over to your Windows PC, pick the game up, keep going, come back to the PlayStation, whatever. Like it's, this is the big selling point for Xbox as a cross-platform, right?
This was a famously exclusive Xbox game at first.
Yep.
So,
back when Microsoft was still trying to do that, right? Halo was the biggest one. But remember people forget this stuff. Like people forget how much everyone hated XP when it first shipped and it became the most beloved version until 7 or whatever. But when the 360 came out, they didn't have any AAA in first party title. It was nothing. Halo 2 didn't come out until a year later, right? Or even a year and a half, whatever the time frame was. Or Halo 3 or whatever. Halo 3, I guess it was. Sorry. Halo 2 or 3. I forget the timing. But so this came out a year after the launch, but it was like, okay, here we go. Like this is a big deal. So, and plus remember the original trailer for this thing was awesome. It was that Mad World trailer with this awesome song, from Tears for Fears or whatever.
Yeah.
So over the years, this thing has gotten just prettier and prettier, basically, and the performance is better. It's the same game, right? So I feel like I could blow through this in like 5 hours if I had to. Like I've done it so many times, but it's just as good. And I'm hoping now they'll take this and move it to a Master Chief Collection type thing where they maybe do Gears 2 and 3 and maybe even 4, 5, 6, eventually, and have it as a package or whatever. But this is a good first step. Fourth step, I guess. I don't know, whatever step it is, but anyway, it looks great and it plays great on just about anything. So it's good.
Gears of War remastered.
Also, not in my article, but if you have a PlayStation, PlayStation has a little speaker in their controller. So the radio transmissions in the game go through that little speaker, so they sound like it's a radio thing.
That's really cool.
That's the real reason PlayStation's better than Xbox, guys. I don't know what people have been telling you, but yeah.
Let's see. That means it's your turn, Chris, to wrap this puppy up.
Yeah, so I'm going to put my money where my mouth is because I've been talking about Copilot Plus PCs a lot. If you do not have a Copilot Plus PC, but you have a desktop PC, a laptop, what have you, with an Nvidia GPU, not many people talk about the Nvidia broadcast app, but it's pretty good, pretty impressive. Like you may not have access to Windows Studio effects, but Nvidia's broadcast app can do a lot of that type of thing with the fake eye contact and with the background removal, and even like with like real-time voice and video processing, especially on the higher end GPUs. If you have a recent Nvidia GPU and you just want to look better in a video meeting, seriously, like check out the Nvidia broadcast app. And it, like I said, it's especially good if you are using a powerful PC that Microsoft says you don't get Windows Studio effects on. If you have a modern Nvidia GPU and you want that type of Windows Studio effects style real-time AI machine learning type of processing, it's really worth checking out. I do think that in general, like I'm not even using Windows Studio effects right now, right? I just have a good microphone and a good webcam, and I think it's kind of good that it looks a little raw, and I don't really want everything to look like AI polished, right? Like if I had an AI polished background and a fake eye contact, it would look a bit uncanny. But for video meetings and et cetera.
Yeah, we've had people do that on our shows. I think Daniel Rubino was doing that with the NVIDIA thing, and it was a little.
Yeah, well, so
I don't understand why you guys have a problem with
no.
stuff, because I think it looks incredibly realistic. You can never tell.
You've moved into the new place. Yeah,
wow.
My arms are totally natural. There's nothing going on there. What's your problem, man?
Nice.
Turn that right off, because that's terrible.
Why don't you? Yeah, that's good.
It actually works. I think it works better than that. I don't think that was Nvidia's.
No, that was.
If I'm wrong.
No,
that was Restream's. I don't know what that was. Yeah. No, the Nvidia one's supposed to be very good.
It actually is. I was pretty impressed by it. I don't really want to. I don't know if I want to use it for like professional like videos, because I want to kind of look raw and human and have a good webcam. But especially if you have a worse webcam and you're just doing like video meeting, it's actually great. It's actually great.
Yes. What is the minimum GPU you'd need for that? Did they say?
That is such a good question that I should have been prepared.
Because I think I only have like a 3070 or something.
What are you, poor? Come on.
I know, it's sad. Isn't it? Sad.
That's a good question. RTX 2060 or higher, I guess.
2060 or higher.
Oh, so I could use it. Okay.
Yeah, and then there's some like really the high end real time
Obviously,
voice and video processing stuff. The super it's studio quality audio or studio quality video. Like they changed in real time like the lighting, and it actually is like kind of wild looking. But so that needs like a 5080 or 5090 type thing.
Yeah,
but
that would make sense.
Most of the effects can run on basically anything. Well, anything slightly modern like that, like we said. 2060 or newer.
It's called the Broadcast app. Is that
but
NVIDIA's
how powerful could this GPU be if it can't run recall? Like, I'm just saying, think about it. Think about it.
Yeah.
Oh, look how good you look in that shot.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well, yeah. So I wrote about it there and kind of show off the app, so you can check it out because there's actually not that much writing about the NVIDIA Broadcast app, and it's easy to miss because it's not right. It's not even included in NVIDIA's like driver suite. It's not even included in GeForce Experience. You have to hear about it and go hunt it down.
And this will work as a camera, so you could use it in Zoom or Teams.
It works as a camera, so you can use it in any app, and it's like a pass-through.
It does. It's a little uncanny valley, Chris. I can see why you.
Well, I enabled every single effect for that one, right? So that is like too much, but it goes to show how much it can do.
It can do a lot.
Hold on, but we could make. I mean, there's a Windows Studio effect that is way worse than anything that you're showing there. Like,
do you want to show us?
I'm going to see if I can do it. Maybe I'm going to see if I can try.
If you can turn it on.
Do I have it in here?
You still need a good webcam, as you point out in your article. This is at the Micro Center website. You do need a good camera. And
ideally, you want a good webcam.
Yeah.
So it's that one. We did it one time when I was in Mexico. It was like it's like a water painting effect, and it's like it is so awful. Like it's awful. Yeah. And actually, for some reason, it's not on this particular computer.
That's like the old photo booth kind of effects that they used to offer, where they weren't so great.
A little gimmicky.
Yeah, a little gimmicky.
I can't get it to come up. I'm sorry.
Very nice.
Using the right camera. Let me see if I'm on the right camera. Oh, it's because I'm on the wrong camera. Oh, because I can't do it. I don't know how to do that. I don't know.
I can.
If only I knew how Windows.
I could join you from the Apple campus. How about that?
Oh, there you go. Nice.
Oh, wow.
Actually pretty clean looking.
That's an Apple effect, but you can see on the edges. There's not. It's not great. But I have a green screen. As soon as you put a green screen behind it, it works very well.
Yeah.
Nice. This is without anything special, so you can see, especially hair. Hair's very tough.
Yeah, hair's tough.
Yeah.
That's why I go for the helmet head look,
A good coiffure goes a long way.
You don't want any stray hairs out there. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's time to say so long to. Oh my God!
What's happening?
To our family, Chris Hoffman, the brand new newsletter. It really looks good. I'm definitely going to subscribe, Chris. And I promise I won't leave you in the archive folder for long. That's where all my newsletters go. This is when you're going to want to read windowsread.me if you want to subscribe. Although if you're already a Windows Intelligence subscriber, you'll get it automatically.
I've already had it.
Thank you, Chris Hoffman, for filling in. Richard will be back next week. And I think he still does Run As Radio even when he's not here because he's got a lot of them in the can. So you can go to runasradio.com.
Yeah, he does those in advance. Smart.
Yeah, smart man. We like to do it live because you never know when Paul's going to go off the rails. And
I don't even think that's ever happened.
Magic happens.
I don't have a memory of that.
That's right. Paul is at therot.com. That's his website. And of course, his books, including The Field Guide to Windows 11 and Windows Everywhere, are at leanpub.com. We join up every Wednesday to do this show, and I hope you will join us next Wednesday for another thrilling, gripping edition of Windows Weekly. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful week. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye, all you winners and dozers. Take care.